Chapter 653. A light, emerald green leaf that exuded a rich wood aura quietly appeared in Yu Yuan's sea of awareness out of nowhere. Due to the arrival of the green leaf, Yu Yuan's overlapping souls became slightly sluggish. It was as if he had lost his ability to think. The light, emerald green leaf floated leisurely towards his three overlapping souls in his sea of awareness. Perhaps it was because his mind was sluggish or his judgment was wrong, but this small leaf gave him a feeling that it was full of righteous energy. Therefore, Yu Yuan had a feeling that Yezi was doing this out of goodwill. Yezi wanted to nourish him and help him condense his soul at a faster rate. His heart was actually welcoming the arrival of the green leaf with an open and enjoyable attitude. "Watch out, master!" The cauldron's soul suddenly let out a shrill cry that tore at his soul. Yu Yuan was jolted awake. Then, he looked at the green leaf, which was shining with a sharp light in the small world in his sea of consciousness. It turned into a tiny sword and pierced towards his soul. At that moment, countless wisps of black light wrapped around Yu Yuan's head like the tentacles of an octopus. Fizz! Fizz! The wisps of black light that carried brutal and bloodthirsty power instantly appeared in Yu Yuan's sea of awareness. Just as the emerald green leaf was about to pierce into Yu Yuan's soul, the wisps of black light slammed into the emerald green leaf one after another. Struck by the black light, the leaf was forced to retreat bit by bit. The baleful demon cauldron finally arrived in time. Just as the cauldron was about to swallow Yu Yuan, the emerald green leaf suddenly vanished without a trace. Just as the baleful demon cauldron was about to wrap around Yu Yuan again, the wisps of black light also rapidly left his body and retreated into the depths of the earth. Inside the cauldron, Yu Yuan was drenched in cold sweat, his face grim. First, the primal Chaos Kuan had used the cold moon to locate the meteor eye and launch an attack on him. After the baleful demon cauldron had blocked the first attack, the star behemoth that had escaped knew that the fiend demon sect's precious treasure had fallen into Nye Tion's hands, so it decisively gave up on the second attack. Because of this, the cold stars in the outer realms dimmed and hid themselves again. Just when Yu Yuan thought he was safe, the second wave of attacks came unexpectedly. Just a little bit more and his soul would have scattered. The first wave of attack was the Chaos Kuan. The second wave of attack was the Emerald Leaf. Who was it? After surviving the calamity, Yu Yuan adjusted his breathing and calmed himself down. The tree leaves blinded my mind, but the aura they gave off was full of righteousness, as if they wanted to help me refine my soul. Even I didn't realize that I was hit. If it weren't for your timely reminder, if it weren't for those beams of light. He took a deep breath and asked, "What about the essence light?" "It's that powerful earth demon deep underground," the cauldron's soul replied. "Earth demon? We came to the Crimson Fire Desert to kill evil devils. That earth devil is also one of the targets to be killed. Why is it helping me?" Yu Yuan asked in surprise. "Please wait a moment." The cauldron's soul operated the small world inside the cauldron. Clusters of mysterious devil runes made Yu Yuan raise his head to take a look. He only felt that this small world was covered with dark clouds that were surging madly. Whoosh! The fiendish demon cauldron, with its mouth facing down, suddenly landed on the sandy ground of the Crimson Fire Desert. Yu Yuan's feet touched the ground. He was still inside the fiendish demon cauldron. Then, he saw Consort Han and the second fiendish demon appear on his left and right, standing behind him. With his butt facing the sky and the mouth of the cauldron on the sandy ground, Yu Yuan lowered his head and looked at his feet. A soul shadow that gave off a fierce and murderous aura quietly rose from the sand under his feet. This earth demon of unknown origin had transformed into a human form. It held a beast's skin engraved with all kinds of complicated runes in its hands and presented it respectfully. The earth demon spoke clearly in human language. "Under the orders of the Chen family, this beast's skin is given to you. This beast's skin was personally made by Chen Liangquan." Yu Yuan's face was filled with astonishment. "Chen Liangquan!" He is our master. The unknown earth demon spoke frankly. Master said that if you wear this beast's skin, it will be able to withstand 3 attacks from the spirit void sect's perfected shadow leaf. Previously, I communicated with the fiendish demon cauldron to offer you this beast's skin. It just so happened that perfected shadow leaf launched a sneak attack. Spirit void sect. Perfected shadow leaf. Yu Yuan did not stand on ceremony. He grabbed the beast's skin and looked at the earth demon who had transformed into a human form. No matter how he looked at it, he did not look human. He said in a deep voice, I have never heard of a perfected shadow leaf in the spirit void sect. He was not one of the 7 perfected masters of the spirit void sect. He is the 8th perfected master. The spirit void sect has not announced it to the public because this perfected shadow leaf has been doing some shady business for the spirit void sect. The earth demon explained very seriously. This perfected shadow leaf is only at the late stage of the soul traversing realm. He has not advanced to the sun soul realm and is not qualified to be called a perfected master. But his private contributions to the spirit void sect have long been tacitly approved by the spirit void sect. He is the 8th perfected master. Master said that in Spider City, your friend called Yuan Lianyao was also attacked by perfected shadow leaf when she was about to reach Spider City. If not for the help of the Tongtian Trading Company, your friend would have died. The earth demon revealed the inside story. Sister Yuan was also seriously injured because of him? The anger in Yu Yuan's heart was ignited in an instant. Of course he remembered. He remembered that Zhu Peining and Yuan Lianyao had many guesses about the soul that had launched the sneak attack. The 2 of them thought that it was the primordial Yang sect or Mo Yin of the Devil's Palace. They never thought that it was the spirit void sect that was right under their noses. Perfected shadow leaf is at the soul traversing realm and has not reached the sun soul realm. It is not a violation of the rules of the Goblin Temple to appear in the wasteland. The earth demon continued. Liang Jingyin was chosen by perfected Skysoar to reach the sun soul realm in the Yellow Jade Mountain. He was recommended to the spirit void sect as a guest elder. When you returned from the Great Swamp, you destroyed Liang Jingyin and ruined perfected Skysoar's plan. In the wasteland, perfected Skysoar was afraid of the Goblin Temple and did not dare to attack you, so he let perfected Shadow Leaf attack your friend. Now you have left the wasteland. The Goblin Temple will not always pay attention to you. In addition, you have not made it clear that you want to join the Goblin Temple or the Devil's Palace. Even if you have the support of a sect, the death of a cultivator below the Sun Soul realm is nothing, let alone the current you. The powerful Earth Demon gave him a piece of animal skin made by Chen Liangquan and told him the whole story. It was unknown where this demon came from, but he knew the rules of the sects in Howren like the back of his hand. As if he was afraid that Yu Yuan did not know, he explained to him in great detail. I am only responsible for delivering things. I will tell you the reason. The Earth Demon left these words and quietly retreated into the ground. After a few breaths, he hid thousands of miles underground and did not move at all. Yu Yuan. Lu Ying's shout sounded from outside. Yu Yuan hesitated for a moment and took off his outer robe. He put on the animal skin made by Chen Liangquan and put on the black robe again. Spirit Void Sect. He took a deep breath and his eyes were cold. He let the evil demon cauldron float in the air. Walking out of the cauldron, he saw Lu Ying standing above the meteorite eyes and waving at him. You released the evil demon cauldron and alerted many people. Many people? Yu Yuan was surprised. Yes, Zhao Yafu, Kong Banbai, and Ho Tianzhao, who are familiar with you, all came here because of the appearance of the evil demon cauldron. Lu Ying rolled her eyes at him. There are many people you may not know, but they have heard of your name. With the meteorite eyes in hand, she could see the movements of most people around the Crimson Fire Desert. Are there people from Spirit Void Sect? Yu Yuan shouted. Yes, they were the first to come here, faster than Zhao Yafu and Ho Tianzhao. Lu Ying didn't know that Yu Yuan had been attacked twice while she was meditating in the meteorite eyes. She answered casually, "Do you have any relationship with Spirit Void sect?" Back then, Wang Jinlin died in the wasteland. He died in vain. Wang Jinlin. Yu Yuan's heart trembled. He thought of the death of the personal disciple of Reverend Skysore in the wasteland. The wasteland had become Yushu's private territory and was firmly controlled by the Goblin Temple. But Spirit Void sect, which had set up a teleportation formation in the wasteland, must have set their eyes on the wasteland and wanted to do something. In the end, the Goblin Temple became the final winner. The harvest of the Spirit Void sect's teleportation formation and the income of Spider City would all be given to Yushu. Spirit Void sect seemed to be enduring on the surface, but could they really be satisfied? Where is the evil demon cauldron? Is that Yu Yuan? Just as Lu Ying and Yu Yuan were talking, an ethereal crystal boat flew over with dozens of Spirit Void sect disciples on it. The ethereal crystal boat, which was built with more than 2,000 crystals, bloomed with dazzling divine light in the night sky, making people not dare to look directly at it. Looking at the current momentum of Spirit Void sect, it really looked like it wanted to be on par with the three high sections. Just this ethereal crystal boat alone cost more than 1,000,000 spirit jades. They were building a teleportation formation in the wasteland and building many ethereal crystal boats. No wonder the Spirit Void sect disciples were so arrogant now. The dozens of Spirit Void sect disciples whispered to each other and pointed at Yu Yuan. Most of them said that Yu Yuan was lucky. He was just a young master of a ruined family in Anua City without the support of a sect. Yet, he was able to control the evil demon cauldron and obtain the scabbard. This made the people of the Spirit Void sect jealous. I heard that this kid is one of Yuan Lianyao's gigolos in the Red Devil School. Only a demonic sect like the Red Devil School can accept a slut like Yuan Lianyao. A woman of Spirit Void sect shouted harshly, "Shameless women, in our hometown, would be drowned in a pig cage." She was constantly slandering Yuan Lianyao, and at the same time, insulting Yu Yuan. "Who is that little bitch?" Yu Yuan pointed at her and asked Lu Ying. "I don't know her." Lu Ying shook her head like a rattledrum. "However, she should know me. After all, I am a big shot in Star Moon sect. As for her, since I don't know her, she must be a small character not worth mentioning." "Oh, then she must be a little bitch who is not famous." Yu Yuan nodded. Soon after, with a voice that shook the surroundings, she angrily shouted at the woman, "Little bitch, can you shut your shit-eating mouth?" Chapter 654. Above the Void Crystal Boat, the dozens of Void Spirit sect disciples who were talking loudly suddenly fell silent. Lu Ying looked at Yu Yuan in shock. She obviously didn't expect that Yu Yuan would use such a fierce method to attack the Void Spirit sect girl who was criticizing Yuan Lianyao. She thought that Yu Yuan would defend himself and reprimand her. Instead of being so extreme, on the Void Crystal Boat, the beautiful girl who was also at the subtle realm was slightly stunned by Yu Yuan's words. She had an oval face, long hair tied up, and was holding a white jade ruler. She asked the person beside her for confirmation. "He spoke to me?" That person's face was as dark as water as he slowly nodded. "It seems so." The girl suddenly panted violently, her bright eyes filled with hatred and anger. She held the jade ruler with both hands and pointed it at Yu Yuan. In an instant, her spiritual sense locked onto Yu Yuan. With just a thought, the white jade ruler would stab at Yu Yuan. "Junior of the Yu family, how dare you use filthy words to insult the disciples of the Void Spirit sect?" At the front of the Void Crystal Boat stood a late-stage spirit cultivator of the Void Spirit sect. This person was furious and cursed with murderous intent. All the Void Spirit sect disciples on the Void Crystal Boat looked as if they had been greatly insulted. They shared a common enemy. Filthy words. Yu Yuan grinned and sneered. This bitch's words to the city lord of Anua City are filthy words. She dared to say what she heard in public. She's shameless, so don't blame me for scolding her. The witch of the Red Devil School, everyone knows about her licentious reputation. What? You dare to do it, but don't let people talk about it? The white jade ruler in the girl's hand suddenly released a misty white jade light. Her spiritual sense quietly penetrated it, and the white jade ruler flew out of her hand. It is said that people who gossip are no different from people who eat shit. Yu Yuan laughed. Good, good, good. You started it first. Don't blame me for being merciless. Boom. The black fiendish demon cauldron suddenly floated out again. The huge cauldron spun in the air, and rays of light flew out from the demonic patterns and shot towards the white jade ruler. The white jade ruler dared to fly away from the void crystal boat. Before the woman could do anything, she was struck by the pitch-black demonic light. The white jade ruler was on a completely different level from the fiendish demon cauldron. When it was hit by the demonic light, it instantly lost its luster. Fine cracks appeared on the ruler in an instant. The Spirit Void sect girl's expression changed. A mouthful of blood surged into her throat and she almost spat it out. She knew that Yu Yuan possessed the fiendish demon cauldron, so she had no intention of fighting him in public. She was just putting on an act to give herself a way out. Who would have thought that this rogue cultivator from Anua City, who had no sect to rely on, would immediately kill the white jade ruler as soon as it dared to leave the void crystal boat. With just a single strike, the white jade ruler that she had spent a fortune to purchase, a rank 2 Earth-grade artifact, cracked. The woman wailed in her heart and spat out the blood that was stuck in her throat. Then she looked at the handsome youth on the void crystal boat and asked for help. Senior Brother Chu, please uphold justice for me. She didn't plead with the late Een Spirit Realm Elder on the void crystal boat. Instead, she pleaded with her senior brother, who looked young and had just entered the Een Spirit Realm. Chu Jing nodded slightly. His figure flashed, and he stood in front of the void crystal boat. Martial Nephew Chu? The expression of the late-stage Een Spirit Realm expert in charge of the illusory crystal boat changed slightly when he saw Qin Lai step forward. Chu Jing smiled and said, "Let me deal with it." The man hesitated for a moment and nodded in agreement. Chu Jing. Lu Ying saw him emerge from a corner and stand at the front of the illusory crystal boat. Her expression was a little uncomfortable as she said, "He is the third disciple of the current sect master of the Spirit Void sect, Spiritual Master Spirit Void. He is also the most valued one. Every sect master of the Spirit Void sect would be called Spiritual Master Spirit Void. No matter what they were called before, they would automatically change their name when they became the sect master of the Spirit Void sect. This was the tacit rule of the Spirit Void sect. Since Chu Jing was the direct disciple of the sect master of the Spirit Void sect and the most valued one, it meant that his status in the Spirit Void sect was roughly the same as Lu Ying. The Spirit Void sect was ranked first among the 7 lower sections. It was a powerful sect that wanted to be ranked among the upper sects and challenge Xuantianzong, Yuanyang sect, and Sword sect. From this point of view, Chu Jing's status was not weaker than Lu Ying's and was even slightly higher. Chu Jing carried a big black umbrella on his back and wore an Emerald Universe ring on his hand. The clothes he wore did not have any symbol of the Spirit Void sect. His slender eyes were often squinted as if he had not woken up. The moment he stood in front of the Void Crystal boat, all the Spirit Void sect disciples seemed to have found their backbone and their expressions were shocked. "My name is Chu Jing." He looked at Yu Yuan and bowed slightly. In a casual tone, he said unhurriedly, "You hurt the disciples of the Spirit Void sect, so you have to pay the price." He slowly took down the big black umbrella on his back and held it with both hands. The moment he held the umbrella with both hands, Yu Yuan only felt that the whole world suddenly sank. An invisible pressure fell from the sky. Not only him, Even Lu Ying and the starfall eyes under their feet were forced to sink bit by bit. Lu Ying's pretty face was bitter and she said loudly, "Senior Brother Chu, you don't have to do this, right? Our people were seriously injured by him. I was also forced to do this." Chu Jing was indifferent. "You also know the rules of Haoran. Sect disciples below the Sun Spirit realm are not allowed to kill. He is not even a sect disciple and has not been recognized by the Goblin Temple. He is just a rogue cultivator. If I kill him, I will kill him." As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Jing opened the umbrella. The big black umbrella opened as if holding up a whole new world. The illusory mist of spiritual power rose with the big black umbrella. Yu Yuan looked up and saw that the night sky had disappeared. Instead, it was a whole new world with ethereal qi. There were palaces and buildings, mountains and lakes, birds and spirit beasts, and the roaring of the great path. Phantom umbrella. Lu Ying's expression was solemn as she explained the origin of the object. She immediately communicated with the falling star eye to stabilize it. The evil demon cauldron, floating above Yu Yuan's head, also quickly enlarged the moment Chu Jing opened the umbrella. The mouth of the cauldron was still facing down, faintly covering Yu Yuan. Yu Yuan chuckled and said to Lu Ying, "I can see that this phantom umbrella should have a great background. It is a little weaker than the evil demon cauldron before it was damaged." Lu Ying frowned and sighed softly. "It should be a little stronger than the current evil demon cauldron. The level of the phantom umbrella is the same as the starfall eyes under my feet. But the starfall eyes is not an offensive weapon. In terms of power, it is a little weaker." What she meant was that the phantom umbrella in Chu Jing's hand was stronger than the current evil demon cauldron and more offensive than the starfall eyes. In addition, Chu Jing's cultivation and combat experience were better than theirs. On Chu Jing's side, there was the virtual crystal boat, and dozens of Spirit Void sect disciples and elders. The strength of the two sides was obviously not equal. "I can see that you are doing this on purpose." Yu Yuan laughed loudly. "You are deliberately letting me heavily injure that woman. Maybe you are the one who instigated her and secretly ordered her to provoke me. This way, you will have a reason to kill me. The Spirit Void sect is indeed an open and aboveboard sect. I have seen it today. Since you couldn't kill me with a sneak attack, you, the sect master's disciple, decided to attack me openly." Yu Yuan noticed that the moment Chu Jing opened the umbrella, the eyes of the woman who had maliciously slandered Yuan Lianyao suddenly calmed down. There was no longer any feeling of being humiliated, no anger, and no desire for revenge. It was so calm that it made one feel strange. Thinking about it, he felt that the woman's actions should be to provoke him on purpose. She wanted him to attack, and at the cost of injuring himself, give Chu Jing a reason to kill him openly. After Shadow Leaf's spiritual master, Chu Jing should have received some instructions to continue with the plan. Sneak attack. Lu Ying cried out involuntarily. "The Spirit Void sect secretly attacked you?" Yu Yuan nodded. "They didn't succeed. No one will believe lies that don't exist." Chu Jing had already walked out of the virtual crystal boat, and stood in the world under the phantom umbrella. Like a god in an illusory world, he floated in front of Yu Yuan. "A demonic artifact like the evil demon cauldron should not be in your hands after it was born. If it is not in my hands, is it in your hands?" Yu Yuan sneered. "After you die, I will choose a new owner for this cauldron." Chu Jing's face was indifferent. For example, Mo Yen. Chapter 655. Mo Yen. Devil's Palace Missouri Yen. Lu Ying exclaimed, her beautiful face filled with shock and confusion. "Senior Brother Chu, you are Spiritual Master Ling Su's direct disciple. I don't believe that you have dealings with Mo Yen." During the trial in the Stardust Sea region, Mo Yen had suddenly walked out of the fiendish demon cauldron and easily roped in Ho Tianzhao, Lin Yu, Qi Nandu, and Qi Yin. He had killed Tang Can, killed Xuantianzong Liu Bacon, and many other participants of the Tianyuan continent. She had an extremely deep impression of Mo Yen. After the trial had ended and she had returned to the Star Luna sect, she had specifically asked about Mo Yan's background and learned that this unknown fellow was actually the descendant of the number 2 figure of the Devil's Palace, Zhu Zhening. Zhu Zhening was a primordial spirit expert and his son. No wonder the Devil's Palace treated him like this. However, since Mo Yen had come from the Devil's Palace and Chu Jing was spiritual master Ling Su's direct disciple, one righteous and one evil, how could the two be familiar with each other and have dealings with each other? We have the experience of exploring secret realms together. Chu Jing stood under the illusory spirit umbrella, the one who made the rules of the world. Yu Yuan is dead and the fiendish demon cauldron has fallen into my hands. I naturally cannot possess this demonic treasure. I only plan to sell this cauldron to Mo Yen at a good price. These words were said as a matter of course. Judging from Chu Jing's attitude, victory was already in his grasp. It was as if the fiendish demon cauldron was already in his pocket. It was as if Yu Yuan was already a dead man. Ha ha! I really didn't expect that you would even have a plan for the treasure in my hand. Yu Yuan grinned. Seeing that Chu Jing was getting closer and closer, he mentally called out, "Consort Han." An icy blue shadow floated out of the fiendish demon cauldron and stopped in the air to his left. As soon as Consort Han appeared, this small world seemed to have turned into an extremely cold place in an instant. Consort Han's upper body was that of a proud and cold woman, while her lower body was that of a scorpion. She stared at Chu Jing with her crystal-like eyes and used her cold soul remembrance to pressure Chu Jing's soul. Fiend demon! Lu Ying, who was in charge of the falling star eyes, was stunned when she saw Consort Han appear. She couldn't help but exclaim softly. She vaguely felt a sense of familiarity with Consort Han. Since you've refined the fiendish demon cauldron, I naturally know that you'll be able to refine a fiendish demon sooner or later. Chu Jing stretched out a finger and pressed it between his eyebrows. He stopped Consort Han's cold soul will from infiltrating his mind acupoint with a single finger. You are in my illusory spirit world. How can you hurt me? Chu Jing's empty hand pointed at the sky before pointing at Yu Yuan and the fiendish demon cauldron. Go. Under the illusory spirit umbrella, a silver mountain and a surging river formed by the illusory spirit energy clouds rushed toward Yu Yuan and the fiendish demon cauldron at the same time. The laws of heaven and earth quietly changed. The space where Consort Han and Yu Yuan were instantly turned into a land of flames dozens of times hotter than the crimson fire desert. Boom! Boom boom boom! The falling silver mountain instantly turned into a burning mountain of flames. The belly of the mountain roared and spewed out lava and flames. The surging river instantly turned deep red. The river water was ignited and looked like liquid metal. The moment the illusory spirit umbrella was opened, the illusory spirit world inside the umbrella replaced the original world. As the owner of the illusory spirit umbrella, Chu Jing could change the laws of this small world. A blazing land of flames, a violent volcano, and a surging river were all targeted at Consort Han. Concubine Han, who was of the frost attribute, was faced with the changes of the natural laws. The frost power within her was forcibly suppressed, and the infiltration of flame power caused steam to rise from her icy body, which was in a state that existed between corporeal and illusory. As the owner of the fiendish demon cauldron, Yu Yuan, who had cultivated his spiritual sense, could sense her fear and unease. Chu Jing had changed the structure of heaven and earth, and created this strange land of flames to restrain her from the very beginning. It made it difficult for her to use her full strength. The rising white mist meant that she was melting away the cold energy and resisting the invasion of the fire energy. A translucent, icy light shield enveloped her and Yu Yuan in it. The flaming mountains and rivers, as well as the blazing river of light, gently touched the ice shield, and consumed her energy rapidly. She was forced into a passive position, but she was also suffering unspeakably. To be honest, with Yu Yuan's subtle realm cultivation and the fiendish demon cauldron, you can still form such a fiendish demon. Chu Jing stood with his hands behind his back and commented objectively, "If your opponent wasn't me, but another disciple of the Spirit Void sect, without the illusory spirit umbrella, you would really be at a disadvantage." The illusory spirit umbrella and the fiendish demon cauldron were at the same level. In the current era, it was even slightly higher. His realm was one whole realm higher than Yu Yuan's. Under such circumstances, he was confident that he could defeat Yu Yuan and prevent Yu Yuan from escaping. "Senior Marshal Brother Chu, do me a favor and don't do this, okay?" Lu Ying frowned. Seeing that Yu Yuan could only rely on Consort Han's cold energy to hold on under Chu Jing's power, she begged for mercy for the first time in her life. When she said those words, she felt awkward and a little embarrassed. Who was Lu Ying? She was the pride of the Stellar Luna sect, the next sect master of the Stellar Luna sect. She was the darling of the heavens. The moment she was born, the stars in the sky shone brightly. Her brilliance shone on the Divine Might Empire, and all the cultivators in the empire were shocked by her birth. Without cultivating hard, she could easily reach the late stage of the subtle realm just by eating and drinking. She was about to condense a Yin's spirit. In terms of cultivation talent, there were at most 2 or 3 people in the entire Howren who could surpass her in this era. She knew that she couldn't compare to Chu Jing in terms of hard work and diligence, but in terms of talent, she had absolute confidence. Ever since she was young, she had always been the center of attention and had always been protected. She had never begged anyone before. But today, she begged Chu Jing for mercy for Yu Yuan. Junior Marshal Sister Lu, Chu Jing was also shocked. "You and I know each other. Even if we haven't interacted much before, I know that you never bow to anyone. Also, Qi Jinghai and I are bosom buddies. We are as close as brothers. You know his feelings for you, don't you?" "I know," Lu Ying said. Qi Jinghai of the Thunder sect had a high chance of becoming the next sect master of the Thunder sect. Over the years, the Thunder sect had been close to the Spirit Void sect, and the two sects had also played matchmaker for the next generation of successors. Chu Jing and Qi Jinghai had fought side by side many times, and they had cultivated a deep relationship through several life and death battles. Both sides recognized each other and complemented each other in the future. They could be said to be best friends. "Since you know, then let's do this." With a thought, Chu Jing stealthily moved the raging river of flames away from the ice shield, reducing the pressure on Concubine Han by half. "I don't want to force you to become partners with Jinghai," Chu Jing said after some consideration. Chu Jing thought for a moment before saying, "All you need to do is cut a piece of your hair and wrap it around the star stone pendant around your neck. Give it to Jinghai, and I'll spare Yu Yuan's life today. I won't hold it against him for injuring my sect's disciples." Lu Ying had a prismatic pendant around her neck, which her master had refined from profound crystals gathered in the outer realms of the Starry River. Not only could it benefit her cultivation and calm her soul, but it also had a special meaning since she had worn it close to her skin since she was young. Cutting a section of a woman's hair and giving it to a man was also a token of love. Wrapping her hair around the star stone pendant that was closest to her body and giving it to Qi Jinghai, even if she didn't explicitly say that the two of them would become partners, it gave people the feeling that this was what it meant. Moreover, it was she, Lu Ying, who had taken the initiative to show her love to Qi Jinghai and take out a token of her love. Lu Ying lowered her head and looked at the star stone pendant that her master had personally refined and had accompanied her for many years. Looking at the misty starlight emanating from the pendant, her bright eyes seemed to freeze as they moved. She felt very sad, reluctant, and wronged. To this day, the pendant actually didn't help her much with her cultivation. However, it meant a lot to her. It was a precious treasure that no amount of gold could compare to. Chu Jing had asked her to wrap a section of her hair around the pendant and give it to the man from the Thunder Element sect, who was deeply in love with her, but she had never had any feelings for him. This made her feel that if she really did that, her master and the entire Star Luna sect would blame her. "If you don't give it to him, Yu Yuan will die," Chu Jing said in a low voice. Lu Ying's delicate body trembled. Her slender, fair and slender hand was placed on the pendant. Her fingers trembled as she pinched the pendant. She wanted to pull it off, but because her emotions were fluctuating too violently, she couldn't do such a small action. Under the icy shield, Yu Yuan's eyes were deep and cold, even colder than Consort Han's. "Stop!" Chapter 656. In the outside world where the ethereal crystal boat was parked, the stars were dim and the sky was dark. It was a dark night, especially after the meteor eyes disappeared. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Figure after figure gathered from different directions of the Crimson Fire Desert. Some were on artifacts, some were wearing divine feathered clothes, and some were flying on sword. They had all come because of the appearance of the fiendish demon cauldron. "Where's Yu Yuan?" Zhan Tianxiang, who had returned the golden metal divine throne to his master, landed on the ground like a giant elephant. Only after landing on the ground did the dazzling golden elephant blur merge into his body. Zhan Tianxiang, who was brimming with demonic energy and blood, looked up at the sky and saw a giant black umbrella open. The giant black umbrella took up hundreds of acres in the sky. Flowing cloud power surged inside like a sea of clouds. Even with Zhan Tianxiang's current cultivation, he felt his soul tremble when he saw the giant black umbrella. It was as if a battle was happening inside that wasn't at his level. Kong Banbai, who had arrived on his sword, exclaimed, "The illusionary spirit umbrella! Martial nephew Kong!" At the front of the illusory crystal boat, the person in charge of the illusory spirit sect, Han Su, braced himself and greeted Kong Banbai. "This is Martial Nephew Chu from my sect. He is talking to Lu Ying and Brother Yu in the illusory spirit world." Kong Banbai was from the sword sect. Although he wasn't as famous as Chen Qingyan, he was still an extraordinary person who had grown stronger step by step. The Sword Sect was a high-tier sect like the Spirit Void Sect in the Tianyuan continent. Han Su didn't dare to slight them. "The illusionary spirit umbrella? What is that?" Zhao Yafu, who was wearing the divine feathered clothes, looked like a fairy who had come to Hauran by chance. She didn't know what relationship Chu Jing and Yu Yuan had, so she said curiously, "Tell Chu Jing to put away the illusionary spirit umbrella. I have something to discuss with Yu Yuan." Everyone knew of the White Heaven Tiger. Zhao Yafu, who was the disciple of the Heaven Tiger, had been extremely dazzling in the Crimson Fire Desert recently. How could Han Su not recognize her? Wait a moment. Han Su had a headache. Kong Banbai took a deep breath. With a heavy expression, he looked at the opened illusory spirit umbrella. After thinking for a moment, he said, "I know Chu Jing's methods, and I also know his temperament. I am not worried about Lu Ying. I know that the Spirit Void Sect and Chu Jing will not make things difficult for Lu Ying." "Who is Chu Jing? Could it be that he wants to deal with Brother Yu?" Zhao Yafu shouted. "Ask Chu Jing to release him." Kong Banbai landed on the ground and picked up the sword under his feet. He looked up at Han Su and said, "I don't know what kind of entanglement your Spirit Void Sect has with Yu Yuan, but I hope you can tell Chu Jing not to mess around. I know that you're the person in charge of this Void Crystal Boat. You must have a way to let Chu Jing hear you." Han Su smiled bitterly and nodded. "I'll give it a try." He could ignore Zhao Yafu, Zhan Tianxiang, and the newcomers Ho Tianzhao and Lin Yu because they came from the Tranquil Continent and were competitors with them. But Kong Banbai was different. He represented the Sword Sect, which was one of the greater sects of the Tianyuan continent. Han Su could only do as he was told. In the illusory spirit world inside the giant black umbrella, Yu Yuan's face was as cold as ice under the icy light barrier. Stop! Lu Ying's fingers trembled as she pinched the prismatic star stone pendant. Just as she was about to pull it down, she shook her wrist and looked at him with her clear eyes. Her face was filled with grievance and unwillingness. She was not good at hiding her feelings. Her sadness would immediately show on her face and in her eyes. Just like at this moment, her heart was filled with grievance. Her eyes and face revealed everything. I don't want anything to happen to you. Lu Ying pinched the star-stone pendant and squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying. She said, Big brother, you've saved me many times. It's only right for me to help you this time. As soon as she said this, she suddenly felt relieved. She no longer thought about the consequences. She pulled hard. The prismatic pendant made of black crystal fell into her palm like a star. She put her 2 fingers together and turned them into a pair of scissors. She was about to cut off a strand of black hair that was hanging over her neck. Yu Yuan yelled, I said there's no need for this. Whoosh! The second fiend demon suddenly flew out of the fiend demon cauldron and turned into a scarlet streak of light that shot straight at Chu Jing. A fiend demon refined from a disciple of the blood god. Interesting. Chu Jing was overjoyed. He formed a seal with his hands and let out a clear whistle. The handle of the illusory spirit umbrella suddenly fell from the sky like a sharp spear. It was as if a sword had pierced through the world and opened up 2 worlds. The handle of the umbrella fell straight down. It followed the veins of the great Tao within the illusory spirit world and accurately pierced the scarlet streak of light that was flying through the air. The second fiend demon was pierced by the umbrella handle and instantly turned into a rain of blood that fell to the ground. Yu Yuan could clearly sense the second fiend demon's wail. Master, the illusory spirit umbrella this person wields is extremely powerful. It has the potential to become a divine artifact. The Cauldron Soul's soul thought sounded in Yu Yuan's mind. This kid is the future sect master of the Spirit Void sect. They hope that he will become a nascent soul cultivator in the future. His cultivation is high and he has a lot of rare treasures. With the illusory spirit umbrella, he is indeed troublesome. Consort Han and the second fiend demon have to accompany the fiend demon cauldron as it grows. Also, the fiend demon cauldron's strongest point is that it can gather countless fiend demons into a mighty formation and win with numbers. So, after Consort Han and the second fiend demon had been hit by the umbrella handle, the Cauldron Soul had no choice but to send a message to Yu Yuan. Yu Yuan, what other tricks do you have? Why don't you use them all? Chu Jing raised his eyebrows. In fact, he had already heard Han Su's message. But he didn't care. As the owner of the illusory spirit umbrella, the umbrella's connection with the outside world had never been broken. He didn't need Han Su's reminder at all. He knew what Zhao Yafu, Zhan Tianxiang, Kong Banbai, and the others had said when they came. However, it still couldn't shake his heart. I have a question. With a thought, Yu Yuan sent the second fiend demon, who had turned into a rain of blood, back into the icy light shield. The second fiend demon used its own power to add a touch of blood to the ice shield. This would make it slightly sturdier and able to last a little longer. Let's hear it. I can't promise that I can answer your question. The expression on Chu Jing's face didn't change. Instead, he even had the time to say to Lu Ying, Junior Sister Lu, there's no need to rush. I'd like to see what other doubts and tricks this kid, who suddenly came out of Dark Moon City 3 years ago, has. Is perfected Shadow Leaf also in the Crimson Fire Desert? Yu Yuan yelled. Chu Jing suddenly fell silent. After a while, he said, I'm not sure. Perfected Shadow Leaf. Lu Ying held the prismatic pendant. She finally realized that there was an 8th perfected being in the Spirit Void sect. She said in shock, Perfected Shadow Leaf, who is best at assassination, attacked you? Just now, before the illusory crystal boat showed up, Yu Yuan said. Why? Lu Ying found it hard to believe. He's in the late soul wander realm. He's even killed sun gods and rank 8 great demons. Why would he do such a thing to you, a person of the younger generation? You'll have to ask the Spirit Void sect. Yu Yuan snorted. Chu Jing frowned. After Yu Yuan mentioned perfected shadow leaf, a strange light flashed in his eyes. After a while, he suddenly said, I'm sorry, junior sister Lu. I changed my mind. What? Lu Ying didn't understand. I don't need you to give that pendant to Jinghai anymore. Chu Jing sighed regretfully. I have to take Yu Yuan's life. As soon as he said this, the handle of the illusory spirit umbrella appeared again and stabbed towards Yu Yuan's forehead. Lu Ying's expression changed. She suddenly felt a strong sense of regret. She regretted that she shouldn't have hesitated. She shouldn't have torn off the pendant at the first moment and let Yu Yuan leave the illusory spirit world. She blamed herself deeply. She blamed herself for her hesitation, which caused Chu Jing to kill. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh! One after another, dazzling beams of starlight flew towards the umbrella handle. The beams of starlight were shattered by the umbrella handle and scattered into specks of starlight. The umbrella handle was like a rainbow. It was about to pierce Yu Yuan's forehead with unstoppable sharpness. Since the evil demon cauldron has appeared, you should know that the other item that belongs to me may also be in my hands. Yu Yuan took a deep breath. The scabbard that the moon-severing realm cultivator had left behind in the mortal world was grasped in his hand without warning. The sword spirit flew out of the sword seal on his arm bone and connected Yu Yuan's arm to the scabbard. It formed a sword and stabbed towards the umbrella handle. Chapter 657. Endless sword intent flew out of the scabbard, bringing with it a crimson sword aura. At the same time, Yu Yuan's mind was immersed in the peerless sword art of the moon-severing great cultivator. Refined spiritual energy, which contained the vigorous qi and blood of life, mixed with wisps of spiritual consciousness, communicated with the sword soul, and responded to the sword intent and sword aura left in the scabbard. Bang! The ice shield that Consort Han struggled to hold up was shattered by the sword intent that exploded from Yu Yuan's body when Yu Yuan pointed the scabbard at the handle of the illusory spirit umbrella. The cold and emotionless Consort Han felt the peerless sword intent from Yu Yuan beside her, evoking the deepest fear in her heart. Consort Han kept trembling. The cauldron's soul sent a message. This icy heavenly demon, who had crossed the galaxy in her early years, returned to the small world inside the cauldron with a heart of joy for the first time after condensing the fiendish aura. She was glad that Yu Yuan was her new master and not an enemy. Consort Han had disappeared, and the second fiend demon had also entered the fiend demon cauldron. Yu Yuan, who was alone outside, had shed his burden and was full of fighting spirit. A crimson sword aura flew out of the scabbard and shot toward the dark gold umbrella handle. Chu Jing's pupils shrank, and he suddenly felt a strong sense of unease. A bloody hole opened on the middle finger of his left hand, and drops of blood dripped out. The drops of blood activated the hidden array of the illusory spirit world, causing the laws of this small world to change again. The dark gold handle of the umbrella suddenly transformed into a giant pillar that required 10 people to encircle. The giant pillar formed by the umbrella handle lost its sharpness and was replaced by a kind of momentum that was as deep as a mountain and as impregnable as a pool wall. Rip! A crimson light appeared on the giant pillar-shaped umbrella handle. The crimson sword aura that flew out of the scabbard pierced through the surface of the giant pillar-like umbrella handle with a thought from Yu Yuan. That point, compared to the end of the umbrella, was not worth mentioning. However, due to the impact of the crimson sword light, the extremely wide handle of the umbrella slowly moved towards Chu Jing's chest inch by inch. A cloud of blood mist enveloped Chu Jing. In the depths of the bloody mist, Chu Jing's expression was dark. He was like a wolf that had been woken up by danger. His eyes, which had been half closed all this time, were completely open at this moment. There are too many false rumors in the outside world. I have always been suspicious of them. Chu Jing opened his mouth again. His expression and voice had become cold and stern. I thought that the many legends about you, Yu Yuan, were just people who wanted to flatter you. I won't believe it until I see the person and verify it with my own eyes. After a pause, Chu Jing said softly, I believe you now. Chi. Swoosh. 2 more crimson sword glows shot into the giant pillar-like umbrella handle after becoming thinner. In the inner world of the illusory spirit realm, the umbrella handle was as wide as a stone pillar that stretched dozens of meters between Yu Yuan and Chu Jing. At this moment it seemed to be summoned by Chu Jing and slammed towards him. Lu Ying's bright eyes suddenly lit up. Seeing that Yu Yuan had gained the upper hand after taking out his scabbard, she hurriedly said, You too, it's about time to stop. Don't hurt each other. Hurt each other? Chu Jing shook his head. All of a sudden, the emerald Qian Kuan ring he was wearing on his finger lit up. A tiny finger turned into a golden lightning bolt and shot towards Yu Yuan's profound gate acupoint. The tiny finger was furry and exuded an extremely violent blood aura. As it approached Yu Yuan's acupoint, it actually caused the life altar to spin madly. Lu Ying was shocked. A finger of the golden-eyed winged eagle, a 9th-grade demon. The greater demon's golden finger pierced into Yu Yuan's chest. Boom! The animal skin that Yu Yuan was wearing and that Chen Liangquan had carved with complicated and exquisite formations burst out with a dim yellow, grayish-green, and silver bloody light of demonic energy. The bloody light wrapped around Yu Yuan tightly like a membrane. Then, 3 different colored demonic energies flowed towards Yu Yuan's Dantian region in his chest under the guidance of the formation. The finger that spiritual master Spirit Void had refined and given to his disciple couldn't pierce into his flesh or a world. A reward from the Goblin Temple? Chu Jing fixed his gaze on Yu Yuan and saw a roaring lion, a slithering silver snake, and a green crane fluttering in the blood-colored light that enveloped Yu Yuan. Part of the 3 demonic beasts' flesh auras had been sealed in a piece of animal skin by some ingenious means. The animal skin itself had been stripped from a 8th-grade demon. The lion and tiger roared angrily, the silver snake swam, and the crane danced. The dim yellow, silver, and grayish-green demonic energies formed constantly clashed with the 9th-grade demon's finger. Invisible to the naked eye, the thousands of flesh auras belonging to the 4 demons clashed countless times like divine lightning. The Spirit Void sect has a deep foundation. I've seen it with my own eyes. Yu Yuan grinned. Feeling the connection with the scabbard and the wonderful combination of his soul sense and sword spirit, he suddenly jumped into the evil demon cauldron. Riding the evil demon cauldron and holding the scabbard, he suddenly soared into the sky. A crimson sword aura, shining with brilliance that cut through the dark sky, smashed the jade palaces of the phantom spirit world into pieces, tore apart the mountains and lakes, and crushed the birds and giant beasts with the crimson sword aura. The scabbard left his hand. Under the crazy loss of his soul sense, spiritual power, and flesh aura, he watched the scabbard turn into a crimson sword and cut a hole in the phantom spirit world. Just so. Stepping on the evil demon cauldron, Yu Yuan followed the scabbard and walked out of the hole. Yu Yuan, the evil demon cauldron, and the scabbard. As soon as he appeared in the real world outside, Zhang Tianxiang, Zhao Yafu, Kong Banbai, Ho Tianzhao, Lin Yu, and the other evil geniuses of the tranquil continent all shouted. Yu Yuan, who was in the cauldron, almost collapsed. He had never thought that using an artifact to fight someone like Chu Jing would consume so much energy. When the scabbard pierced the phantom spirit world, it had almost drained all of his spiritual power and soul sense. Only the small world of flesh aura was still abundant due to the existence of the life altar. his spiritual power and soul sense had been greatly consumed. He could no longer swing the sword a second time. However, he could feel that the sword spirit still had energy left. If he could keep up, the sword spirit would be able to use the remaining power of the scabbard to continue the fight with Chu Jing. However, Yu Yuan felt that Chu Jing also had hidden means that he hadn't used yet. While he was pondering, he suddenly realized that the ninth-grade demon's finger seemed to be summoned by Chu Jing, and was about to leave his chest. However, at this moment, the life altar, which had smelled the scent of blood, suddenly appeared in the small world inside the cauldron. The finger was swallowed by the life altar like a whale swallowing water. Then, the life altar returned to his small world of flesh aura. All of this happened inside the evil demon cauldron. It was hard for others to see or sense it. Only Chu Jing suddenly felt that his soul connection with that finger was mercilessly severed. Whoosh! Chu Jing came out of the hole in the phantom spirit world and looked down at the new hole on the surface of the umbrella. His expression was somewhat serious. Then, he reached out and made a grabbing motion. The phantom spirit umbrella slowly shrank. The small world inside the umbrella also shrank. Lu Ying took the opportunity to fly out and search for Yu Yuan with her falling star's eyes, an excited expression on her face. When she saw the evil demon cauldron, she immediately flew towards Yu Yuan with the meteor eyes. At this moment, Chu Jing was holding the shrunken phantom spirit umbrella again. He stared at the hole, his eyes fixed on it for a long time. Zhan Tianxiang, Zhao Yafu, Kong Banbai, and many other sect disciples were gathered here. Yu Yuan had escaped from the illusory spirit umbrella and broken through the illusory spirit world. Chu Jing still had other tools and exquisite spirit incantations that he hadn't used, but he knew that he had missed the opportunity to kill Yu Yuan. He knew that it would be difficult for him to do it in front of so many people. In addition, his heart was also covered by a layer of dark clouds. Yu Yuan had broken out of the phantom spirit world with the scabbard and walked out of the world he ruled. Let's go. Chu Jing returned to the illusory crystal boat and gave Han Su some instructions. Then, he closed his eyes and sat down. Judging from his posture, it seemed that he hadn't fought Yu Yuan. Nothing had happened. He didn't even care about the finger of the rank 9 great demon, golden-eyed winged Yuan. Han Su gave him a deep look. He knew that this proud and arrogant junior nephew of his did not get any benefits from Yu Yuan. Otherwise, Yu Yuan would not have been able to walk out of the illusory spirit world alive. Han Su, who knew Chu Jing well, knew that Yu Yuan had become Chu Jing's greatest enemy. Chapter 658. The person who showed himself just now was the god of plague of Dark Moon City? Another group of women from the Cloud Water sect stared at the fiendish demon cauldron floating in the air. The image of Yu Yuan's figure was imprinted in their minds. They were very excited and surprised, as if they wanted to see the world in chaos. Did you notice that he charged out of Chu Jing's illusory spirit umbrella? Did you notice that there was a hole in the surface of the illusory spirit umbrella? It can't be? How could he pierce through the illusory spirit umbrella? Chu Jing is a competitor for the position of the next sect master of the Spirit Void sect. He has many mysterious secret techniques and treasures. How could he not beat Yu Yuan? Unbelievable! It wasn't just the Cloud Water sect. Many other sects and forces, as well as the elites of the large families of the Empire, were also discussing as they stared at the fiendish demon cauldron. Before this, although Yu Yuan was famous, it didn't have anything to do with his cultivation and battle strength. Yu Yuan's fame was mostly related to his treasures and the terrifying changes that would occur wherever he went. It wasn't because of his cultivation or battle strength. He didn't have the support of a sect and only had a little connection with the Goblin Temple. In the hearts of many, he was just lucky. He was of ordinary birth and low cultivation. It was only because of his good luck that he obtained an item like the fiendish demon cauldron that he was able to stand out in the Qian continent where experts gathered. But now, seeing him open the illusory spirit umbrella with their own eyes and seeing Chu Jing leave with a bad complexion, they finally realized that this famous young man from Dark Moon City actually had a combat strength that was comparable to his fame. The Spirit Void sect had a chance to become a greater sect, and Chu Jing was a candidate for the next sect master. He had the illusory spirit umbrella, spirit cultivation, and treasures, but he still couldn't beat Yu Yuan. This was the most powerful proof. Whoosh! Within the world of the cauldron, Yu Yuan watched as the life altar flew out of the Xian Men acupoint, swallowed the finger, and returned to his body. He was exhausted and covered in sweat. He had never been so tired before. This battle was the most intense one he had ever fought since he was reincarnated. The impact of facing a strong opponent who was evenly matched with him caused his mind to be moved. Feeling the minute changes in his body, he suddenly realized that this kind of battle was immeasurably beneficial to his breakthrough in realm and the tempering of his body. Cultivators, sharpening themselves through battle, surpassing everything else. With this thought in mind, he took out a soul accumulation pill from his mustard seed bracelet and a spirit recovery pill that could quickly condense spiritual energy. After swallowing them, he used his internal organs, blood, and qi to stimulate the medicinal effects as quickly as possible. By the time he sensed the medicinal effect dissipating, and spiritual power and spiritual awareness condensing in his spiritual C and spiritual C, he gradually calmed down. In the next moment, his body shook slightly. He keenly sensed that this body, which had almost run out of spiritual power and spiritual sense, was absorbing the medicinal effects of the pills hungrily. The speed at which the pills were digested greatly exceeded his expectations. It was more than 7 to 8 times faster than normal. Using battle to nurture battle should be possible. After every battle, every time my spiritual power and spiritual sense are exhausted, the newly condensed spiritual power and spiritual sense seem to be even purer and more refined. Yu Yuan was enlightened, and vaguely realized why those legendary battle maniacs were able to make breakthroughs in their cultivation at such a fast pace. Yu Yuan! Yu Yuan! Outside the cauldron, Zhao Yafu, Kong Banbai, and Zhan Tianxiang's calls grew louder and louder. Twitching the corner of his mouth, he floated out of the cauldron. At a glance, he saw Meteor Star Eyes, Lu Ying, Zhao Yafu, Kong Banbai, and the others. Lu Ying's gaze was focused on him. He could see the emotions in her eyes that had never been revealed before. His heart trembled. "Kid, you really surprise me." Zhan Tianxiang flew over and slapped him on the shoulder, slamming him back into the fiendish demon cauldron. Zhan Tianxiang himself was shocked. He, who was surrounded by a golden halo, hurriedly retreated and shouted, "Yu Yuan, are you serious?" He overdrew his spiritual power and spiritual sense in his battle with Chu Jing. That's why he's like this. Kong Banbai saw clearly that the fiendish demon cauldron had finally landed on the ground. Yu Yuan once again slowly walked out of the cauldron and said, "After all, Chu Jing is at the Yin spirit realm, an entire realm higher than him." As soon as these words were spoken, gasps and shocked gazes came from all around. Everyone suddenly realized that not only was Chu Jing of higher birth and had the support of spiritual master Spirit Void, he was also an entire realm higher than Yu Yuan. Even so, he hadn't been able to kill Yu Yuan and seemed to have suffered a loss? Ho Tianzhao of the Red Devil School and Lin Yu of the Blood God took a deep breath and felt the pressure that Yu Yuan gave them. Coming out of the fiendish demon cauldron and standing on the slightly cold sand, Yu Yuan saw that with him as the center, there were dozens of young people from different sects scattered around in a circle. Almost all of those young people were at the Breaking Profound realm or the Nuance realm. There were very few who were not young and had already stepped into the Yin spirit realm. They were separated by dozens of meters or 100 meters, but their eyes were unusually bright in the night. They must have used some secret method to carefully observe him. It was obvious that they were very interested in him, otherwise they wouldn't have used their spiritual sense to look at him from afar. Fortunately, those people seemed to be afraid of something and didn't release their spiritual awareness directly. They used their spiritual awareness to examine his body more carefully. Why did Yu Yuan fight with Chu Jing? Kong Banbai frowned and seemed to be really concerned about him. I know Chu Jing's character and methods. He wouldn't fight with others for no reason, but once he did, it would be a situation where he would fight to the death. You shouldn't have any enmity with him and the Spirit Void sect, right? Yes, Yu Yuan said softly. Hearing him say so, Kong Banbai's expression changed and tactfully didn't continue to ask. There were too many people here and he knew that it was not convenient for Yu Yuan to say more. I'm going to the meteoric star eyes to adjust. When I'm in a good state, we'll talk about other things. Yu Yuan smiled and greeted Zhao Yafu, Zhan Tianxiang, and Lin Yu and Ho Tianzhao, who were a little further away. Then, when the meteoric star eyes approached, he flew in. Those who didn't have any friendship with him, those who came from sects, saw the fiendish demon cauldron and him, and left with satisfaction. When they left, those people were still secretly discussing the battle between him and Chu Jing. After this battle, Yu Yuan's name in the Qianxian continent, and even among the young people of the Tianyuan continent and the Tranquil continent, would become more and more famous. This time, the name was won by him. Through the battle with Chu Jing, he proved to everyone that he had the battle strength to challenge the core disciples of the big sects. It's good that you know what happened to spiritual master Yingyi. Don't tell anyone. In the center of the meteoric star eyes, Lu Ying sat behind him on a crescent stone platform. A pair of bright eyes, like bright stars, stared deeply at him. Her pink lips held a faint smile. You are really a stubborn bull. You dare to provoke a person like Chu Jing and even dare to fall out with him. Why wouldn't I dare? Yu Yuan responded. In the future, he may be the master of the Spirit Void sect. The Spirit Void sect has a chance to become a high sect, more powerful than our Star Moon sect. Lu Ying glanced at him and suddenly lowered her head. She said somewhat embarrassedly, "This star-stone pendant is actually of no use to me. You don't have to be like that. Whether it's Chu Jing or Qi Jinghai, they shouldn't be above your will. Lu Ying, who you like is your own business. Chu Jing, of course, can't use me to control you." Yu Yuan shouted coldly. Also, Chu Jing is not the master of the Spirit Void sect now. As for the future, if he dies halfway, there won't be any future. Like Chu Jing, who was favored by everyone, but died because of an accident, there are too many precedents. Kong Banbai and Lu Ying had already said clearly that once a person like Chu Jing became enemies, it would be a situation of life and death. Since that was the case, Yu Yuan secretly made up his mind to kill Chu Jing as much as possible. He would not give him the possibility of becoming the master of the Spirit Void sect. Chapter 659. Examining one's body with one's soul awareness at all times was also a way to cultivate in the subtle realm. After the battle, Yu Yuan, who was exhausted, had a simple conversation with Lu Ying, and then immersed himself in his own body. He used the newly condensed wisps of soul awareness to observe his vital acupoints and internal organs. He keenly sensed that the battle with Chu Jing, after consuming his soul awareness and spiritual power, actually made him feel comfortable. The wisps of soul awareness that lingered around the three souls of heaven, earth, and man were guided out and circulated in his haunting acupoints, chi and blood small world, meridians, and joint. After a cycle, his soul awareness became even more refined. Examining one's own body was a form of cultivation. His spiritual awareness was like a trickling stream, cruising through his body over and over again. It was like a pair of eyes quietly scrutinizing himself inside his body. Many details that he had overlooked in the past became clear and profound because of this. What attracted his attention the most was the chi and blood small world. That was because the life altar, which was as translucent as blood jade, had swallowed one of the fingers of the golden-eyed winged core and was slowly refining it. Golden blood-colored light constantly shot out of the finger and merged into the altar. The finger was shrinking bit by bit. This was a refining process. The flesh aura stored in this altar, which had been forged with the primal Chaos Koan's giant beast essence amber, gradually filled up as the finger shrank. Gradually, it gave him the illusion that it was as vast as the sea. Recently, Chen Liangquan gave it to me under Qing Luan City and devoured the flesh aura of a powerful demon. The finger of the golden-eyed winged core I captured in the battle with Chu Jing belongs to a 9th-level demon. Of course, it's also very extraordinary. Yu Yuan was secretly delighted. The higher the level of a powerful demon, the stronger the flesh aura it contained. A bone or a finger of a 9th-level demon could even equal the total flesh aura of a 6th-level demon. The finger of the golden-eyed winged core was a part of a 9th-level demon's body. It was his spoils of war from the battle with Chu Jing. This item was being refined by the life altar and condensed into the purest fleshly essence that contained the fortune of life. It was being used to nourish himself and temper his body. His joy didn't last for long as his mind shook. While the life altar was refining the severed finger of the golden-eyed pterosaur, an extremely thin wisp of air flowed from the inside of the finger, turning from an illusory state into something substantial. The thin air current rapidly expanded in the great demon's severed finger, turning into a strand of hair. The airflow condensed into a crystal chain. From the look of it, he was going to take control of the 9th-grade demon's severed finger and counterattack the life altar, causing Yu Yuan's flesh aura world to explode. Puff, puff, puff. The crystal chains that were as thin as hair suddenly burst open. Sparks of light carried terrifying power as they attempted to break through the life altar and pierce Yu Yuan's blood aura world, killing him on the spot. Yu Yuan's mind was violently shaken. All of his consciousness, thoughts, and attention were focused on the sacrificial altar in an instant. He immediately felt a connection of flesh and blood between him and the life altar. It was a wondrous feeling of perfect harmony. Whoosh! All of his condensed spiritual power, soul sense, and flesh essence was instantly poured into the sacrificial altar. The sacrificial altar shone brightly in the flesh aura world, emanating dazzling blood-red light that illuminated the entire flesh aura world. It was as if heaven and earth had undergone great changes. Flesh aura surged like an ocean, as if it were about to evolve into a wondrous world where life was reborn. At this moment, the sacrificial altar seemed to be connected to all of Yu Yuan's acupoints, including his Huanting acupoints and Naiwen acupoints. For a short time, the life altar seemed to have become his heart and the center of his body, channeling all of the power he could draw from it. The life altar slowly rotated, and the mysterious power that originated from the star behemoth instantly enveloped all of the sparks of light. Those sparks of light were born from a broken crystal chain, and contained a strange power that didn't belong to the great demon's finger. All of a sudden, the sparks of light were extinguished one by one, as if they were being crushed by invisible hands. Finally, the crystal chain disappeared completely, and didn't cause any more trouble. Spiritual Master Spirit Void left his mark. In an instant, Yu Yuan understood what was going on. Hundreds of kilometers away, Chu Jing, who was sitting motionlessly in a corner of the void crystal boat, opened his eyes slightly. Surprise appeared in Chu Jing's eyes as he muttered to himself in a voice that no one could hear. The mark that Master left in the finger to sort out and suppress the great demons remaining instinctive will exploded after it was disturbed, but it still couldn't kill him. This Yu Yuan has given me a lot of surprises. He had asked Han Su to activate the void crystal boat and ignored the finger. In fact, he had harbored evil intentions. His soul connection with the finger had been broken, but he knew that his master's mark wouldn't disappear so easily. Chu Jing had thought that if he gave up the finger of a ninth-grade great demon when Yu Yuan absorbed and refined it, the mark his master had left behind would detect that it wasn't him, and would definitely detonate the finger. If a ninth-grade great demon's finger exploded with demonic energy, Yu Yuan would be caught off guard and die without a doubt. Chu Jing didn't expect that Yu Yuan, who didn't have any sex inheritance and had cultivated some strange spells, would be able to withstand another attack from the great demon's finger. It's getting more and more interesting. He closed his eyes again, suddenly feeling that with Yu Yuan as an opponent, this trip to the Crimson Fire Desert had suddenly become interesting. He, Chu Jing, was never afraid of challenges or opponents. 2 days later, with the help of pills and a few high-grade spiritual jades, Yu Yuan's dried-up Huangting Meridian acupoint and his spiritual sense, which had almost dried up, had been condensed and filled again. He was surprised to notice that the wisps of spiritual sense that wrapped around his soul had increased by a few %. In addition, the strands of newly condensed spiritual sense seemed to be covered with a luster that was invisible to the naked eye. Advancing to the subtle realm is very important to the refinement and transformation of spiritual sense. In this realm, constantly using spiritual sense to examine the secrets of the body is refining spiritual sense and cultivating. Yu Yuan had found the trick and had a general understanding of how to cultivate after the subtle realm. The small world of blood and qi regained its tranquility, and it was even more tranquil than before. After refining the severed finger of a ninth-grade great demon, the life altar was abnormally quiet. Light flashed inside it, as if it was undergoing some strange transformation. According to Xie Bin and the second fiend demon, Yu Yuan didn't know much about the life altars, which could only be created by the high-leveled intelligent races in outer space, who were blessed by nature. He didn't know what kind of subtle changes would occur after the life altar swallowed a ninth-grade great demon's finger. He planned to observe it slowly. It was another scorching day. The sun baked the desert, making everyone feel vexed and irritated. Fortunately, the people walking in the Crimson Fire Desert were disciples of the major sections. If they were mortals who didn't know how to cultivate, they would probably die from the heat in just a few days. Yu Yuan opened his eyes and slowly got up from his sitting position. He looked around and found Lu Ying talking to someone at the edge of the meteor eyes. He was a little surprised. He didn't know when someone had come to the meteor eyes without him noticing. He walked toward Lu Ying. "You've woken up." Lu Ying smiled when she saw him come over. When her beautiful eyes looked at Yu Yuan, there was a hint of emotion in them. This made Yu Yuan feel a little guilty. "Hello, little brother Yu." A man with long silver hair stood next to Lu Ying. He wore a robe embroidered with crescent moons. The man smiled warmly. He was tall and handsome and looked to be in his 40s. "My name is Tan Chun Shan. I'm from the Moon sect of the Star Luna sect. I just returned from the outer space." He introduced himself. "Not long ago, the primal Chaos Kuan saw the meteor eyes and attacked across the boundless starry river. I thought that the brutal star behemoth was going to kill Lu Ying. I asked Lu Ying and she didn't know. Then the primal Chaos Kuan's attack should have been aimed at you. Because at that time, only the two of you were on the meteor eyes." Tan Chun Shan tirelessly told the truth that Yu Yuan was hiding. He didn't say much about the fact that he had summoned the evil demon cauldron to defend against the star behemoth's attack. Lu Ying didn't think much about it. She only thought that he had done it to defend against Shadowleaf's attack. Lu Ying didn't know that Shadowleaf's attack was only the second wave. The Moon sect? Yu Yuan was slightly surprised. The Star Luna sect had been in charge of sect affairs for a long time. The one in charge of the sect was the branch of the Star Luna sect, where Lu Ying's master was. Compared to the Star Luna sect, the Moon sect was much more mysterious. Even Lu Ying didn't know who the master of the Moon Sect was. Tan Chun Shan claimed that he was from the Moon Sect and had returned from the outer space. He was at least at the Sun God realm, which made Yu Yuan's expression change. He didn't try to hide it. It was indeed coming for me. I knew it. Tan Chun Shan looked at him with admiration and said with a smile, that star behemoth's attack across the starry river also exposed its location. For the sake of this attack, he had paid a considerable price. I really can't understand why this giant beast, which once ran amok in Howren and was infamous in the depths of the starry river, would target you. How would I know? Yu Yuan shook his head. Tan Chun Shan's arrival, his conversation with Lu Ying, and his lack of awareness when he was cultivating were enough to prove that this person was extraordinary. He wouldn't reveal anything to someone from the Moon Sect who he didn't know about. Tan Chun Shan was about to say something when both he and Lu Ying raised their eyebrows. Whoosh, whoosh. In the next moment, Tan Chun Shan and Lu Ying appeared in the place where Yu Yuan had just left. They were staring at the scene inside a moonstone that looked like a mirror. Yu Yuan was taken aback for a moment before he flashed over to where the two of them were. Inside a moonstone that looked like a mirror, a flood dragon that was more than 100 meters long and as thick as a water bucket could be seen. Its entire body was covered in icy silver scales, and it was swallowing one Taiyuan sect cultivator after another into its stomach. Of the 5 Taiyuan sect cultivators, the one with the highest cultivation base was only at the late subtle realm. As the flood dragon swallowed them, the 5 Taiyuan sect cultivators who had come to the Crimson Fire Desert to rid the world of evil didn't even dare to move. They've been bewitched by the flood dragon's aura. Tan Chun Shan sighed and said to Lu Ying, "This is a bad sign. The deaths of the 5 Taiyuan sect disciples means that the demons of the Crimson Fire Desert are planning a counterattack. They were hiding before, but I don't think they'll do that again." "How dare they?" Lu Ying exclaimed. Tan Chun Shan looked up at the sky and said, "Someone must have told them that the situation where the 3 great sects, the Devil's Palace, and the Goblin Temple dominate Howren will no longer exist." Chapter 660. The deaths of the Taiyuan sect disciples seemed to be just as Tan Chun Shan had guessed. It was just a signal for the demons to counterattack. A moment later, a new scene appeared on the other moonstone crystal. More than a dozen Golden Bone clansmen flew out from under a sand dune and intercepted the trial takers from the Lightning Sect. Those Golden Bone clansmen were covered in dazzling golden divine radiance. They were unafraid of being bound by lightning. When they got close, they were like golden blades that cut down the trial takers from the Lightning Sect. From the looks of it, they were taking revenge. Another battle was taking place. 7 hazy demonic shadows appeared from the moonstone crystal and surrounded a group of disciples from the Tianyuan continent's third-rate sections. The demonic shadows gradually shrunk like ropes, and the 8 profound shattering and subtle realm trial takers soon stiffened and fell to the ground. Looking at their blank and empty eyes, their souls should have been devoured by the demonic shadows. After losing their souls, their worthless bodies became useless corpses. Within one of the prismatic crystals, Du Huang of the ancient Baron sect laughed heartily as he smashed a group of 5 people, who were also members of the ancient Baron sect, into a bloody mess with his fists. Du Huang stood among the 5 corpses, fist intent flowing all over his body. He looked like a bloody god of slaughter. Du Huang. Isn't he a disciple of the ancient Desolate sect? Lu Ying didn't know what to do. She held her forehead, shocked by the scene in the moonstone crystal. Yu Yuan's expression changed slightly. Du Huang, Shun Feiqing, and Sandalwood are in the depths of the desolate god Great Lake. Shin Feiqing and Sandalwood are in the depths of the lake to receive Zhongli De, the Moon Sect disciple, who called himself Tan Chun Shan nodded. Du Huang should be in Zhongli Da's faction. A few days ago, Zhonglide returned to the ancient Desolate sect and fought with the current sect master. Zhonglide was slightly stronger. He wants to take the position of sect master, but almost all the elders of the ancient Desolate sect don't acknowledge him. In a rage, Zhonglide spread the word that the ancient Desolate sect was split into two. He led some of the elders of the ancient Desolate sect and started to form his own sect. If Du Huang is with Tan Yuan and Xin Feiqing, it means that Du Huang and his master have chosen Zhonglide. Yuan was stunned. Is the weather really going to change? With the invasion of the heavenly demons, the alien races are scattered all over the universe, ready to make a move. Also, the people who left Howren a few years ago are also planning to return to this world. Tan Chun Shan's expression was solemn. This is an unprecedented challenge. If things go wrong, the situation of the 5 supreme forces controlling Howren may be overturned. Marshal Uncle Tan, is he that scary? Lu Ying exclaimed. All the empires of the Qian continent are in chaos after the return of the god statue that can affect fate. Tan Chun Shan explained, something has happened in the great desolate god lake. The spatial tunnel that the forbidden land of the fallen moons is suppressing has opened, and the evil spirits and heavenly devils have come to wreak havoc. The frigid depths of the 9 underground, the land of despair, the colorful clouds Miasma Sea, and many other places that even the 5 supreme sects can't control are in a mess. Battles are breaking out in outer space as well. Howren has encountered many dangers in the past, but not many have faced such dangers. With these words, Tan Chun Shan narrowed his eyes, a strange expression on his face. Speaking of which, the last era was also a time of chaos. The 3 great sects took advantage of the situation and rose to power, and changed the situation in one fell swoop. You have to know that the 3 great sects in the past were far less powerful than they are today. Tan Chun Shan had a worried and expectant expression on his face. If the sects are prepared and can seize the opportunity in the chaos, they may be able to change the world in the future. In that era, some great sects had fallen, some third-rate sects had risen to become lesser sects, and some lesser sects had risen to become great sections. The change of era would give rise to many dangers, but it would also give rise to opportunities. Bang! A moonstone prism crystal suddenly exploded with a speck of dim light. The dim light seemed to be tens of thousands of meters below the ground. The dim light was enveloped by a huge demonic shadow. The soul threads and spiritual energy that covered the dim light's outer layer were shattered, and only then was it sensed by the meteor star eyes. Inside the dim light, there was a blurry old man sitting. Around the old man's neck was a collar made of leaves. Spirit Void Sect, Spiritual Master Shadow Leaf. Tan Chun Shan only took a glance and recognized the blurry old man sitting inside the dim light. Spiritual Master Shadow Leaf. Lu Ying exclaimed softly as she instantly realized that the soul wisp of leaf that had attacked Yu Yuan was none other than the old man, who was enveloped in a dim light and was hiding underground. He was found by an earth demon. Spiritual Master Shadowleaf is at the late stage of the Soul Wander realm. He is proficient in assassination techniques, and his ability to hide his tracks is top-notch. Tan Chun Shan was very surprised. With his ability, if he didn't use assassination techniques, it's unlikely that he would be exposed. He attacked me, Yu Yuan said. At this moment, the one who was attacking the dim light was the earth demon who had offered up Chen Liangchuan's beast skin. That earth demon should have searched the ground after spiritual master Ying Yi had made his move, and then followed the vines to find spiritual master Ying Yi, thus launching an attack. The earth demon's attack broke through the outer layer of the dim light. Because of the huge movement, it was sensed by the meteor star eyes. Without the earth demon's attack, without the explosion of the concealment array, even a divine artifact like the meteor star eyes would not be able to detect Spiritual Master Shadowleaf. Spiritual Master Shadowleaf attacked you? You didn't die? Tan Chun Shan stared at his eyes, as if he couldn't believe it. The Chaos Kuan attacked you once through the air, and there was also Spiritual Master Shadowleaf. Yu Yuan, isn't your life a bit too tough? You didn't die like this? Shrugging his shoulders, Yu Yuan said, maybe it's really tough. Sigh, Spiritual Master Shadowleaf is after all a spiritual master of the Spirit Void sect. Now that he was targeted by such a fierce earth demon, and I saw it again, I can't sit by and do nothing. Tan Chun Shan's face was troubled. Martial uncle, you're not allowed to help him. Lu Ying shouted. If you don't help, I can't stay in the Crimson Fire Desert for long. I can only pretend that I didn't see it. Tan Chun Shan said. Martial uncle, you didn't come at all. Lu Ying said firmly. This? All right. Tan Chun Shan hesitated for a moment. At this moment, he chose to stand on his side. Immediately, moonlight appeared in his body. In an instant, he shrank into a small crescent moon, and then suddenly disappeared. Crack! 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 Not long after Tan Chun Shan left, a prism crystal erected in the meteor star eyes like a star's eye, suddenly cracked. Puff! Suddenly, Lu Ying spat out a small mouthful of blood. She looked at the cracked prism crystal in shock. After hesitating for a moment, she smeared the blood at the corner of her mouth on the cracked prism crystal. This star I must have sensed something unusual, and tried to lock onto it to reveal it, Lu Ying explained hurriedly. But the existence it sensed was unbelievably powerful, so the star I couldn't bear it and cracked on its own. Let me try and see if I can see it with my blood essence. You might die. Don't be rash, Yu Yuan exclaimed. He didn't know what the limit of the meteor star eye's vision was. However, he understood that the thing that caused the prism crystal to shatter on its own when it sensed the situation and was unable to reflect the situation was definitely something that far surpassed Lu Ying's current realm. It was something that even the meteor eyes had better not provoke. He didn't want Lu Ying to take any risk. Unfortunately, Lu Ying didn't listen to his advice. Instead, she used her blood-stained hand to draw one strange star map after another on the cracked crystal. After the 6 star maps of different shapes finally solidified, Lu Ying shouted, "Open!" Boom! The 6 star maps absorbed the star energy stored in the meteor star eyes and connected with each other to form a vast star map. A figure suddenly appeared in the middle of the vast star map. The figure seemed to be in the depths of the Crimson Flame Desert. Numerous earth demons, unknown abominations, and hybrids that looked like golden bones were gathered around him. The figure seemed to have just arrived in the desert and carved out a small world in the ground, where he seemed to be interrogating those earth demons and hybrid. Yu Yuan actually knew that person. It was his close friend from his previous life, Zuan. Chapter 661. In a small space underground, Zuan, who was wearing a feathered crown and had a strange face, was surrounded by colorful divine light. Many heavenly demons, evil spirits, and great monsters gathered around Zuan. None of those great monsters and heavenly demons were easy to deal with. However, at this moment, when facing Zuan's questions, they were as docile as Zuan's cats. They were unbelievably obedient. Zuan seemed to be holding a small mirror in his palm. Suddenly, Zuan stopped talking. A pair of eyes that seemed to be able to grasp people's souls stared at the falling star's eyes. The moonstone prism crystal was gradually cracking. All the earth demons and evil spirits disappeared, leaving only Zuan's eyes. That pair of eyes quietly looked at her from afar. Lu Ying spat out another mouthful of blood. Suddenly, she realized that Zuan, who was hiding deep underground, had accurately locked onto her and saw her. It seemed that he could send a strand of his soul through the moonstone prism crystal and destroy her soul with just a thought. Who is this person? Lu Ying's heart was in a mess. In the next moment, she suddenly had a huge doubt in her heart. Zuan, who was illuminated by the moonstone prism crystal, was not looking at her. His eyes, which she didn't dare to look at, were actually not looking at her. He was not looking at her, the owner of the falling star's eyes. He was not looking at her, the person who found Zuin, who was hiding in the dark and revealed himself. The person Zuin was looking at was actually Yu Yuan. Lu Ying turned her head and saw a bitter smile on Yu Yuan's face. She sighed, bowed, and said in an incomparably complicated tone, "I also didn't expect to meet you in such a way." No one knew better than him how terrifying his best friend from his previous life was. Zuin had been guarding Feixia Island for a long time with only a Yin spirit. His yang spirit, which shone brightly in the world, had always been at the highest peak in Howren, Heaven-Reaching Peak. Heaven-Reaching Peak was also the place where Zuin merged with the Tao after breaking through to the Freedom Realm. Zuin, a late-stage Freedom Realm cultivator with a chance to condense his primordial spirit. After his Tao integration with the Heaven-Reaching Peak, he used the sky-observing mirror to observe the mortal world, as if he was a god looking down upon the Howren heaven and earth. It was said that his true form had been guarding the Starry River in the Starry River for a long time to prevent outsiders from invading. Zuin was highly valued by the three great sects, the Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple. They had to rely on him in many places. Legend had it that Zuin, who had the sky-observing mirror, was sitting on the highest peak of Howren. Through the mirror, he could locate all the evil spirits, demons, and dangerous foreign species hidden in Howren. If he sensed that something was wrong with an existence that could endanger Howren, he didn't need to inform the five supreme forces. He had the right to kill them. The five supreme forces trusted him very much. Even if the people he killed were from the three great sects, the Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple, the five supreme forces wouldn't ask too much about it. Such a person was actually in the depths of the Crimson Fire Desert. Around him were the demons and evil spirits that were supposed to be killed by him, as well as the heavenly demons that were supposed to be intercepted by his true form in the Starry River, and the foreign species. What was going on? Could it be that Zuin had betrayed the three great sects, the Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple? Had he chosen to side with the Shenhun sect? Zuin, who was in the depths of the Earth's core, looked like his true form. That girl, within the cracked moonstone crystal. Zuan's lips moved and a weak voice sounded. Lu Ying suddenly felt a chill in her heart. She suddenly felt that after Zuin spoke, her life was in Zuan's hands. She was no longer in charge. She keenly sensed that if Yu Yuan didn't give her a good answer, this strange-looking man with a feathered crown on his head would kill her and scatter her soul. Yu Yuan suddenly reached out and grabbed her slender waist. Lu Ying's body stiffened. She had never been treated like this by a man before. Her beautiful face was full of uneasiness, and she felt strange in her heart. However, even though her heart was rippling rapidly, she didn't feel any particular resistance. Instead, her cheeks flushed, and her eyes became misty. Because of Yu Yuan's actions, the feelings that had already arisen in her heart were quietly magnified. Holding her waist and holding her in his arms, Yu Yuan could clearly feel that she was very nervous at first, and her limbs were stiff. However, she soon relaxed and allowed him to make intimate gestures. With a beauty in his arms and a refreshing fragrance, Yu Yuan smiled brightly. Her name is Lu Ying of the Stellar Luna sect. Senior Zuin can see the entire world. If you pay attention to me, you should know the relationship between me and her. The girl who went down the island with you and climbed up the mountain last time on Flying Clouds Island is not the one in front of you. Zuin snorted. You don't focus on medicine cultivation, and you only know how to flirt with girls. Can you live up to your master's expectations of you? In his previous life, the drug god Hanch was a close friend of Zuin. Otherwise, he wouldn't have kept the red copper key. In Zuan's eyes, Yu Yuan in this life was his junior. He was one of the few people that he paid attention to and cared about. Seeing this kid talk about Yuan Lianyao and Lu Ying, he felt that this kid didn't put enough effort into his cultivation. Senior Zhu. Yu Yuan cupped his hands again and repeatedly bowed. Please have mercy. Please have mercy. You know that I will never talk nonsense. I will never talk nonsense. As for her, I will also restrain her. You should leave the Crimson Fire Desert as soon as possible. Don't go to the forbidden area of the falling moon, lest you get into trouble. Zuan snorted. Senior Zhu, that perfected shadow leaf of the Spirit Void sect, is also somewhere underground. Do me a favor and let Taoist Master Ingyi die. Yu Yuan shamelessly begged. Got it. Tell that girl not to look around and see things that she shouldn't see. The last sentence was said to Lu Ying. As soon as he finished speaking, the moonstone prism crystal shattered. Lu Ying's body went limp and she leaned into Yu Yuan's arms. She was frightened by Zuan. Through the falling star's eyes, she saw Zhu An's appearance. However, she still didn't know who this extraordinary man with a feathered crown on his head was and where he came from. She only knew that without Yu Yuan's embrace and Yu Yuan's relationship, she would have died. Okay, take this soul accumulation pill and calm your mind. Don't look around anymore. Yu Yuan handed her a pill and helped her sit down on a stone platform. Then, he said, his name is Zuan, Zuan. Lu Ying's face turned pale. He is Zuan? The Zuan of the heaven-reaching peak, the highest peak in Howren? Yu Yuan nodded slightly. How do you know him? Do you know that Zuan of the heaven-reaching peak has a higher status in Howren than my master and the sect masters of the inferior sects? Lu Ying had obviously heard about this strange man from her master. She knew how terrifying Zuan, who was not restrained by any sect and could do whatever he wanted, could be. Let's not talk about how you know him. Remember, don't tell anyone what you just saw. After a pause, Yu Yuan added, including your master. I know. I'll listen to you, okay? Lu Ying's eyes were filled with resentment. Be good and listen to me. Yu Yuan patted her head. Take the pill and stimulate the medicinal effect. I know that you've used your blood essence to look at him and it's very harmful to you. Don't delay. He has the sky-observing mirror. In terms of the ability to see through heaven and earth, that mirror is a level higher than the meteor eyes. No wonder I almost died when I looked at him with the meteor eyes. Lu Ying felt a lingering fear when she remembered that the person she had taken the risk to look at was Zuan of the heaven-reaching peak. How could such a person appear in the Crimson Fire Desert with so many deviant souls and evil spirits by his side? Him? He might be the leader of the demon's counterattack. The Earth Demon who broke the soul remembrance restriction on Spiritual Master Shadowleaf's outer layer might also be under his command, Lu Ying shouted. Yu Yuan nodded gently. Spiritual Master Shadowleaf shouldn't be able to survive. Is Zuan really willing to kill the 8th spiritual master of the Spirit Void sect just because of a word from you? Lu Ying exclaimed again. He will. Yu Yuan was full of confidence when he said this. Zuan was his best friend in his previous life. He knew Zuan well and knew his temperament. He had no doubt that Zuan would kill the 8th spiritual master of the Spirit Void sect who had plotted against Yuan Lianyao and him. Now, he was worried about why Zuan was in the Crimson Fire Desert. Why did those earth demons, and other species obey Zhu An's orders? Zuan had been stationed in the outer realm for a long time. Could it be that Zuan had opened it himself and released a lot of demons? If that was the case, Zuan would be standing on the opposite side of the 5 supreme sections. Judging from the current situation of heaven and earth, Zuan would be a traitor of Howren. Chapter 662. The Void Crystal Boat sped through the air. A flood dragon chased after them relentlessly. Pieces of shining silver scales separated from the flood dragon's body and turned into sharp blades of lightning that killed the disciples of the vain spirit sect. The flood dragon was at least a 7th-level demon, and its battle prowess was equal to that of a soul wander realm human cultivator. Chu Jing had been standing at the back of the void crystal boat with the illusory spirit umbrella in his hand. Whenever he saw the flood dragon's silver scales coming at him, he would summon the illusory spirit umbrella and slightly cover the void crystal boat. Han Su, who was guarding the void crystal boat, was only at the Een spirit realm. He couldn't do anything to the 7th level flood dragon. If it weren't for the fact that the 7th level flood dragon was wary of the small world inside the illusory spirit umbrella, the casualties of the vain spirit sect disciples on the void crystal boat would be even greater. 7th level demons are rare in the Qian continent. I can't believe they're targeting us. Han Su frowned deeply. What's strange is that we clearly sent out messages, but the disciples of the other sects in the vicinity seem to have encountered the same problem. No one came to rescue us. Chu Jing still looked half asleep. It's not just us. People from other sects are also in danger. The Calm Sea sect sent me a message, saying that they and the Thunder sect's disciples are heading in the opposite direction. The ones who are aggressive towards the Calm Sea sect and the Thunder sect are actually the descendants of the Golden Bone race and our human race. Han Su said in shock. Where did the Crimson Fire Desert come from? Why are there so many hybrids, demons, and earth demons? According to the information they had received, it was unlikely that they would encounter any powerful demons on this extermination trip to the Crimson Fire Desert. There were only a few 5th and 6th level demons, earth demons of the same level, and evil spirit. It was said that the truly powerful ones were all in the Fallen Moon Forbidden Land, the Great Desolate God Lake, the Land of Terror, and the Rosy Cloud Miasma Sea. Because of this, none of the exterminators who had swarmed into the Crimson Fire Desert had powerful seniors. No one had expected that the extermination operation, which had been easy at the beginning, would suddenly become more difficult, and 7th level demons would show up. Chu Jing, who was filled with doubts, suddenly heard an urgent soul message from the soul of the illusory spirit umbrella. Chu Jing's complexion changed. High Mastering Yi, please ask for help. Adept Shadowleaf, where are you asking for help? Han Su shouted. It's in the Crimson Fire Desert. Chu Jing frowned, lowering his head to look at his feet. To be exact, he was targeted by a formidable existence under our feet. He felt that he couldn't escape death, so he used the leaf he cultivated with his life to communicate with the illusory spirit umbrella. He wanted to borrow it. No! Han Su shouted to stop him. If we give him the illusory spirit umbrella, we won't be able to escape from that evil flood dragon's attack. This was also what Chu Jing was hesitating about. It was precisely because of the illusory spirit umbrella that the level 7 evil dragon did not dare to be so presumptuous. They could even use the illusory crystal boat to fight while retreating. If he did not have the illusory spirit umbrella, under the pursuit of the level 7 evil dragon, not to mention protecting his fellow sect members, Chu Jing himself did not have the confidence to escape safely. While he was in a daze, Chu Jing suddenly sat down dejectedly. What's wrong? Han Su asked curiously. Martial Uncle Shadowleaf is dead. When Chu Jing said this, the corners of his mouth trembled slightly. Even with his indifferent nature, he was shocked by this fact. Just when I was a little hesitant, just when he and my illusory spirit umbrella's soul had just established a connection, he suddenly died. Ah! Han Su was older and stronger than Chu Jing, but he was far less calm than Chu Jing. He almost lost his voice and screamed, pulling his hair. His face was full of fear and uneasiness. Who was it? Who killed him? Although immortal Shadowleaf was in the Soul Wander realm, he was best at hiding and escaping. Not to mention the existence of the same level, even if it was a realm higher than him, a great Yang spirit cultivator and a level 8 great demon, it would be easy to defeat him, but it would still be very difficult to kill him. The death of immortal Shadowleaf and Han Su's shout made all the disciples of the Spirit Void sect on the illusory crystal boat dumbfounded. That Yu Yuan of the Onuous City said that Martial Uncle Shadowleaf was in the Crimson Fire Desert, but I didn't get any news. Chu Jing, the future leader of the Spirit Void sect, calmed down in a very short time and said, Yu Yuan also said that he had attacked Yu Yuan. That Yu Yuan should be his target in the Crimson Fire Desert. At least, he should be one of the targets. At this point, Chu Jing thought for a moment and continued, with his ability to escape, he actually died underground, and his 3 souls were all destroyed. This means that the realm and strength of the attacker far exceeded his. It must be the realm and battle strength that can crush him, to be able to kill him so easily. Chu Jing, who had just sat down, suddenly left and decisively ordered, "Withdraw from the Crimson Fire Desert. The situation here is out of control." Falling Star Eyes. After swallowing a soul accumulation pill, Lu Ying, who had recovered for a while, felt the gathering of her spiritual consciousness. After a while, she opened her eyes again. At a glance, she saw Yu Yuan looking into the distance under the evening light. "What are you thinking about?" Lu Ying looked at his back, lost in thought for a while, and couldn't help but ask. She didn't know why. After Yu Yuan held her in his arms and expressed their intimate relationship to Zuan, she felt that she and Yu Yuan were one step closer. Her heart was secretly filled with joy and anticipation. Perhaps it was because of this that she felt happy just by looking at Yu Yuan's back. "How do you feel?" Yu Yuan turned around and grinned under the evening light. His smile was so bright that Lu Ying felt that Yu Yuan at this moment had a kind of magical charm. Her heart was surging, and she was a little flustered, not daring to look at him. "I'm fine. It's nothing serious." Lu Ying gently lowered her head. "Help me find Zhao Yafu, Zhan Tianxiang, and Kong Banbai." Yu Yuan didn't hold back. After pondering for a moment, he said, "And Lin Yu and Ho Tianzhao. I want to tell them to leave the Crimson Fire Desert as soon as possible." After saying this, Lu Ying came to her senses. Her heart trembled when she thought of the scene in the underground Zuan. I understand. What she did first wasn't to help Yu Yuan find Zhan Tianxiang and Zhao Yafu, but to communicate with an elder of the Stellar Luna sect using a secret technique. A thought particle fell into a moonstone prism crystal, and the meteor fall star eyes under her feet suddenly lit up for a moment. The star energy within the array flowed and released a message. After that, she used the meteor fall star eyes to sense Zhan Tianxiang and Zhao Yafu while driving the object forward. The evening light faded, and the Crimson Fire Desert became 10 times more dangerous. As the meteor fall star eyes flew at a low altitude, Yu Yuan could hear the mournful screams of those on the verge of death, breaking the silence of the night. The people from the third-rate sects of the Tianyuan continent and the Tranquil continent have suffered heavy casualties and are being attacked. The Flood Dragon is chasing after the illusory crystal boat. I think Shu Yi is having a hard time resisting it. The Golden Bone Race and human hybrid has locked onto Qi Jinghai and the others of the Lightning sect and is chasing them relentlessly. It seems like it wants to bury all of them in the Crimson Fire Desert. Also, Lu Ying told Yu Yuan everything she saw with the help of this mental connection artifact, so that Yu Yuan could understand how serious the situation in the Crimson Fire Desert was. Yu Yuan nodded from time to time as he listened. An hour later, the meteor fall star eyes landed where Kong Banbai of the Sword Sect was. He saw Kong Banbai and a dozen Sword Sect disciples forming a sword formation. Sword light flashed within the sword formation like rainbows and lightning. The sword light in the air locked down the sky, and the sword intent inside the sword formation was dense. More than a dozen spiritual swords surrounded and attacked a burly man covered in golden fur. Underneath the man's golden fur was a body that seemed to be made of granite. At first glance, it was obvious that he wasn't an ordinary person. He was most likely a hybrid or an outsider from the Starry River. Surrounded by the sword formation, the burly man was covered in golden sparks. He laughed loudly, not worried in the slightest. From time to time, he would wave his hand and swat it like he was swatting flies. The spiritual swords he swatted bent almost instantly. The disciple controlling the spiritual swords immediately let out a muffled groan, fell to the ground, and swallowed a medicinal pill to recover. This isn't a hybrid, but a pure outsider from the Starry River. Lu Ying stood above the meteor-fall star eyes. She could see the battle below by looking down. Zhu! As soon as she opened her mouth, she was about to say the name, Zuan, but then she realized that something was wrong and quickly shut her mouth. She signaled to Yu Yuan with her eyes, and moved her lips to let Yu Yuan know that Zuan was guarding the Starry River to guard against this outsider from the Starry River and prevent them from entering the Howren heaven and earth. Yu Yuan understood from the movement of her lips. He nodded and said, "He's waiting for someone to come and kill the sword sect." Meteor Fall Star Eyes. Lu Ying. Chapter 663. Meteor Eyes. Lu Ying. The cries for help didn't come from the sword sect disciples down below, but from the other side. Standing on the edge of the meteor, Yu Yuan gazed into the distance and saw that more than a dozen frigid Een sect disciples were being attacked by rocks that looked like red-hot irons. The rocks were like moving stone slabs, and they had a unique rhythm to them. The crimson rocks seemed to have a mind of their own. Sometimes they would scatter, and sometimes they would converge, inflicting unbearable pain on the frigid Een sect disciples with blazing flame power. The frigid Een sect disciples who practiced extreme frost incantations were constantly hit by the rocks that looked like red-hot irons. Almost instantly, their bones exploded, and their bodies were penetrated by the blazing flame power. Since they were innately fond of cold, the moment the blazing flame power penetrated their bodies, they felt as if they were being boiled in a pot of oil. It wasn't long before some of them couldn't hold on and died on the spot. Standing under the dozens of rocks that were either rolling on the ground or in the air was an outsider man with red fur. His body was also made of rock. The outsider's body was made of crimson rock. He was slightly shorter but more robust. However, his face, which didn't have any fur, was covered in red stone patterns. It was as if the red-hot iron-like rocks that were chasing after the frigid Een sect disciples were under his control. The burly outsider with golden fur, who was surrounded by Kong Banbai and the sword sect disciples in a sword formation, didn't seem to be in a hurry, as if he had been waiting for Nye Tian. He was waiting for Nye Tian to finish off the frigid Een sect disciples first, and then join hands to kill the sword sect disciples led by Kong Banbai. Lu Ying, save us. Take us away from here. The frigid Een sect disciples, who were being chased by the crimson rocks, noticed the meteor eyes hovering in the sky in the distance, and frantically cried for help and rushed over. "They're rock people from beyond the Starry River," Lu Ying explained. "Rock people aren't the most powerful race in the Starry River. It's said that this outsider race with tough skin can absorb the power of the mountains and rivers to strengthen themselves as soon as they enter Howren." Lu Ying lowered her voice and explained, "I heard from my master that the rock people will cause great damage to our mountains and rivers when they come to our world." "Rock people," Yu Yuan muttered. In the world of Howren, the highest peak of Dao Fusing was the Heaven-Reaching Peak, and the mountain range where Heaven-Reaching Peak was located was the tallest mountain range in this world. He was at the Dao integration stage of the Carefree Realm. Although it was called Heaven Reach Peak, it was actually the entire Heaven Reach mountain range. Perhaps that was the reason why his true form was stationed in a stronghold in the Starry River, in case the Rock People's clansmen crossed over to the Howren Heaven and Earth. The reason he was assigned to be in charge of Zuan was probably because he could suppress the Rock People's masters. Now, there were more than one pure Rock People in this world, and Zuan was also in the depths of the earth. Did this mean that Zuan had really abandoned Howren heaven and earth? Zuan was his best friend. The origami of Fong Great Lake had helped him as well, allowing him to escape from under the noses of the 5 utmost beings. Under his arrangement, Yushu had become the master of Wasteland, and he would become a demon god in Wasteland in the future. Which side should he stand on? Thinking of this, Yu Yuan only felt a headache. He didn't know what to do in the future. At this time, Lu Ying frowned slightly. She didn't like the Qilingyin sect, so she asked for Yu Yuan's opinion. What should we do? Yu Yuan lowered his head and looked at Kong Banbai, who was commanding his disciples. He hadn't used his full strength yet, so he hesitated and said, "Come back later." He felt that Kong Banbai hadn't used his full strength yet, so he could still hold on. Yeah, I don't like those people from the Qilingyin sect either. Let them fend for themselves. Lu Ying did as he said. With a thought, the meteoric eyes flashed across the sky and flew away like lightning. Lu Ying. The shouts of the Qilingyin sect disciples gradually turned into curses until they couldn't be heard anymore. A moment later, Lu Ying controlled the meteoric eyes and found Zhao Yafu, Zhan Tianxiang, and the others from the Goblin Temple. Zhao Yafu crouched beside a giant white tiger with a sad face. Looking at the crisscrossing bloody wounds on the giant tiger's body, she seemed to have lost her soul. The meteoric eyes stopped and Yu Yuan flew down. Yu Yuan. There were still bloodstains on Zhan Tianxiang's waist and abdomen. He seemed to have just fought. Why are you here? Yu Yuan, the situation in the Crimson Fire Desert isn't right. Let Lu Ying of the Star Luna sect take you away. You're not a disciple of a sect, and you don't have the obligation to serve the Goblin Temple. You'd better go back to the barren, abandoned lands. Zhao Yafa heard his shouts and looked up. Seeing that it really was Yu Yuan, she forced a smile and pointed at the dead giant white tiger, saying, "The leader who led us to the Crimson Fire Desert was killed by a spirit crane. I heard from the Goblin Temple that the Spirit Crane's tribe had long since abandoned the Goblin Temple." Big brother Yu, he's right. You're not a member of the Goblin Temple. The Crimson Fire Desert is dangerous right now. You should leave quickly. Lu Ying looked down at them from the meteoric eyes with a strange expression. Yu Yuan had hurried over to persuade Zhan Tianxiang and Zhao Yafu to leave quickly. He didn't expect that the moment he appeared, the two would persuade Yu Yuan to leave before he could even speak. Yu Yuan thought that they didn't know the situation in the Crimson Fire Desert and was afraid that they would act rashly. Now it was proven that there were many people who had discovered that something was wrong with the Crimson Fire Desert. A spirit crane. In that instant, Yu Yuan thought of the white crane that had landed in the starry Ash Sea region, and the crane rider who played the flute. The white crane and Lord Grey Crow seemed to be mortal enemies. Now, in the Crimson Fire Desert, a white crane that had belonged to the Goblin Temple in the past but had abandoned the Goblin Temple had killed the White Heavenly Tiger's tribe. It seemed to be trying to kill all of the people from the Goblin Temple bit by bit. Just how great was the enmity between the White Crane and the Goblin Temple? It's not the one in the Starry Ash Sea region. If it was the White Crane in the Starry Ash Sea region, they would all be dead. Lu Ying quietly reminded him from above the meteoric eyes. It's the same tribe, not the same one. Yu Yuan nodded. He looked at the Goblin Temple members in front of him and thought to himself. Lu Ying spoke again. My meteoric eyes can't take all of the Goblin Temple members. Otherwise, I won't be able to answer to the sect. After this, if the sect finds out that I didn't save the people of the Cold Een sect and took the people of the Goblin Temple away, it will be a little troublesome. Yu Yuan. We won't be separated. I will lead them out of the Crimson Fire Desert. Zhan Tianxiang stood out at this time and took up the responsibility. Before I entered the desert, I promised my master that I wouldn't embarrass him. Big brother Yu, we will leave, but we will leave together, Zhao Yafa said seriously. You don't have to worry about us. You can leave first. I know that you have the meteoric eyes and the fiendish demon cauldron. Why don't we leave first? Lu Ying said softly. The scene she saw underground made her realize a fact. At this moment in the Crimson Fire Desert, the demons and abominations gathered around Zhu and had an overwhelming advantage over the sect disciples on the surface. With Zhu An's seniority, realm, and power, he didn't want to do it himself. If he did, all of the sect disciples who came to the Crimson Fire Desert would have died a long time ago. Not to mention him, if those abominations and demons underground rushed out one by one, everyone who came to the Crimson Fire Desert to exorcise evil would die. Moreover, they would die very quickly. However, the abominations and demons underground who had betrayed the Goblin Temple didn't seem to be in a hurry. A thought suddenly appeared in Lu Ying's mind, and she instantly broke out in a cold sweat. The abominations and souls underground who were docile and obedient to Zhu and didn't come out at once and kill everyone on the surface. Instead, they increased their strength bit by bit. They probably wanted to wait for the other sects to send more and more powerful elders and guest elders over. Then, they would slowly eat the people who came over one by one. They wanted even more. Chapter 664. Yu Yuan found it hard to make a choice. He wanted to take Zhang Tianxiang and Zhao Yafu away from the Crimson Fire Desert because he discovered through the meteoric eyes that the leader was his best friend from his previous life, Zuan. He knew very well that Zuan of Heaven-Reaching Peak was at the late stage of the Freedom Realm and possessed the Sky-Observing Mirror. He was extremely powerful. With Zhu An's combat strength, even the sect masters of the 7 lesser sects might not be able to gain an advantage over him. Not to mention these juniors. The best choice was to take Zhang Tianxiang and Zhao Yafu away from this matter as soon as possible. However, the two of them carried the heavy responsibility of the Goblin Temple and expressed that they would lead the disciples of the Goblin Temple out of the Crimson Fire Desert alive. They tactfully rejected his good intentions. As for Lu Ying, due to the rules of the sect, she couldn't drag the disciples of the Goblin Temple into the meteoric eyes. The fiendish demon cauldron he controlled was different from the meteoric eyes. It wasn't suitable for transportation. If the fiendish demon cauldron carried him, 1 or 2 people might be able to carry it. However, if there were too many people, all aspects would be greatly affected. After all, the cauldron that absorbed fiendish spirits and refined them into fiendish demons first considered the carrying capacity of the spirit. Most spirits didn't have flesh and blood, so they were weightless. Above the meteoric eyes, Lu Ying's beautiful eyes shone like stars. She whispered, "Yu Yuan, I have something to say to you." Yu Yuan's figure rose and landed on the silver meteor. He asked curiously, "What is it?" Lu Ying waved her jade-like hand, and this object that the Star Moon sect had spent tens of thousands of gold coins to create blocked the senses and soul thoughts of the outside world. I feel that the Crimson Fire Desert has become a giant whirlpool that will swallow more and more experts. That person. Lu Ying was very cautious and didn't say Zhu An's name. She was probably worried that the Sky-Observing Mirror would notice. That person's method of releasing the evil spirits underground is probably to let Chu Jing, Qi Jinghai, and Zhao Yafu spread the news. It's to let the major sects realize that the Crimson Fire Desert is in trouble and send more experts here. Then, with the Crimson Fire Desert as a huge whirlpool, it will devour all those who come later. With that person down there, unless an Essence Soul Realm expert or a level 10 Fey Immortal comes in person, even the sect masters of the various large sects would not be able to do anything to him. According to my master, almost all the peak existences of the Howran world have opponents in the depths of the Milky Way. We can't act rashly for the time being. If that's the case, he's practically in an invincible position. He can attack or retreat as he pleases. Lu Ying revealed the guess in her heart with a worried expression. Yu Yuan listened in silence. After pondering for a while, he knew that her deduction was probably true. Zhu An's status in Howren is extraordinary and special. Lu Ying continued, why would a person like him control evil spirits and abominations to attack sect disciples? He's guarding the outer space against rock people, but he's clearly bringing rock people into Howren world. No matter how Lu Ying thought about it, she couldn't understand why Zhuan would betray Howren world. A thought suddenly flashed through Yu Yuan's mind. He suddenly remembered that the last time he met Zhuan, when he revealed his identity and asked Zhuan for the red copper key, Zhuan also asked him for the giant beast essence amber. Flying Clouds Island, Zhu An's true love, should have been sealed there by him. He must have done everything he could to keep her alive. If Zhuan wants her to be reincarnated, he needs not only a divine pill that can steal the heavens and earth, but he also needs to help her refine her soul. In the vast Milky Way, the first person I thought of who could help her refine her soul was the Shenhun sect. Someone from the Shenhun sect must have found him and made him a promise. With Zhu An's temperament, he probably wouldn't care if Howren world fell and all living beings perished as long as his true love could be revived. He's in the late stage of the Freedom Realm and can live freely anywhere in the Milky Way with his reborn true love. In that instant, Yu Yuan thought he had found the reason why Zhuan had betrayed this world. For the love of his heart. Crackle, crackle! A huge war chariot covered in dense lightning bolts suddenly sped over from the distant sky. The war chariot was wide and made entirely of black gold. It shone dazzlingly under the night sky. There seemed to be a pool of lightning hidden under the huge war chariot. It was made of countless lightning crystals and contained the power of divine lightning that could destroy souls. The thunder chariot. Lu Ying was startled. She looked at the war chariot that had suddenly appeared in the distance, and her expression changed. Yu Yuan looked closely and saw a dozen cultivators in different clothes standing on top of the huge thunder chariot with their hands clasped behind their back. These cultivators were talking loudly and arrogantly. They all looked like middle-aged men. Dozens of kilometers away, Yu Yuan stared at them and felt a faint discomfort in his eyes. He immediately realized that these dozen or so cultivators who came on the Thunder War Chariot were not on the same level as the sect disciples in the Crimson Fire Desert. Almost all of them were in the Soul Wander realm, and some were even in the Sun God realm. They must have received news from various sources and sensed that something was wrong. They were worried that too many of their disciples had been killed, so the elders and guest elders of the major sects were all alarmed. Yu Yuan saw a familiar face among them, Wei Xian. Wei Xian of the Frigid Een sect, who was in the late Soul Wander realm, was originally in the Land of Wastelands. Who would have thought that he would also come on the thunder chariot built by the Lightning Element sect and arrive here with his fellow cultivators? In midair, the elders of the major sects in high positions talked to each other, but none of them made a move. The thunder chariot unleashed lightning bolts from time to time, killing all the evil beings and spirits it encountered on the way. Whoosh! A blue bolt of lightning sank into the sand below the desert and annihilated a stealthy extraterrestrial devil that looked like a bat. It was as dead as it could be. The dozen or so people didn't even look at the heavenly devil that had been annihilated, their expressions cold. The Thunder War Chariot gradually approached. When it noticed the meteor-fall star eyes, the war chariot that flickered with lightning suddenly increased its speed. Immediately, it stopped in the sky in an instant. Yu Yuan, Wei Xian of the Frigid Een sect exclaimed softly on the thunder chariot when he saw Yu Yuan and Lu Ying standing in the meteor eyes together. When Yu Yuan looked over, Wei Xian grinned and nodded at him as a greeting. Yu Yuan, Zhao Yafu Zhan Tianxiang. Because of Wei Xian's words, the cultivators of the major sects who came on the thunder chariot suddenly noticed Yu Yuan and the others. These people didn't care about Yu Yuan's feelings at all. Wisps of soul awareness flew directly towards him from afar. Humph! Lu Ying's beautiful face was filled with anger. With a wave of her jade-like hand, a hazy shield of starlight as thin as a cicada's wings appeared and covered the area where she and Yu Yuan were standing. ZZZT. ZZZT. Wisps of soul awareness flew into the shield of starlight, but were blocked by the star energy of the meteor eyes, unable to affect Yu Yuan. At this time, Yu Yuan discovered that, other than Wei Xian, the ones who had come the most were the members of the lightning element sect. There were 3 people wearing the robes of the lightning element sect, and they all seemed to be in the soul wander realm. In addition, there was the Cloud Water sect, the Ancient Desolate sect, and the Taiyuan sect. There was only one person from the Spirit Void sect. His hair was tied up in a bun and held together by a white jade stick. The jade pendant, bracelet, and necklace around his neck were all made of jade. This person seemed to be obsessed with all kinds of beautiful jade. Many of the accessories on his body were made of jade. Every small jade accessory had waves of spirit energy within it. Some of them even had the roars of souls, as if they were being imprisoned by powerful spirits from beyond the heavens. He stood in the crowd with a serious expression, as if he didn't pay any special attention to Yu Yuan. However, Yu Yuan could sense that the young man's attention and eyes were fixed on him the moment he arrived, which made him feel very uncomfortable. Daoist Chiyu. Lu Ying took a deep breath and softly called out. Daoist Chiyu was the most important person among these people. The 7 great Taoists of the Spirit Void sect were the most honorable and noble people in this sect. Daoist Chiyu was the same as Daoist Skysoar, also at the Sun Spirit realm. Daoist Chiyu was at the Mid-Sun Spirit realm, and although he was at the bottom of the 7 great Taoists, this only showed that he was young because he had just ascended to the Sun Spirit realm not long ago and was not as old as the other Taoists. Daoist Chiyu has arrived and targeted me first. A thought flashed through Yu Yuan's mind. He suddenly felt that the 8th Daoist Shadow Leaf, might have been killed by Zuan under his request. Only Chiyu Ye's death would cause the Spirit Void sect to be shaken and immediately send Daoist Chiyu over. Lu Ying greets Daoist Chiyu, Senior Hu, Senior Wei, above the falling star eyes. The girl bowed to the elders of the various sects of the Tianyuan continent who had arrived in the Thunder Chariot. She specifically pointed out the names of those she was familiar with, and only smiled and bowed to those she wasn't familiar with. The Stellar Luna sect was ranked second only to the Spirit Void sect among the 7 great sections. They had a deep foundation, and the hidden power of the Stellar Luna sect was feared by many. Lu Ying was the announced successor of the Stellar Luna sect, and her possession of the falling star eyes was proof of this. Everyone was in the Tianyuan continent, and their sects and sacred grounds were close to each other. They knew each other well, so the people who had come were rather polite to Lu Ying and nodded in return. I have a few words that I would like to ask you Yuan alone. Daoist Chiyu, who was first mentioned by Lu Ying, had a calm expression as he asked Lu Ying in a very natural tone. This, Lu Ying revealed a troubled expression. Knowing that Daoist Chiyu Yi had secretly attacked Yu Yuan, she was 100% certain that Chu Jing might not know about this matter, but Daoist Chiyu definitely knew. As a Daoist Chiyu, who held great power in the Spirit Void sect and knew the inside story, what did he want with Yu Yuan? He wanted to ask Yu Yuan questions the moment he arrived at the Scarlet Fire Desert. Could it be? Lu Ying faintly had a bad feeling. She felt that if she nodded and released Yu Yuan to Daoist Chiyu of the Spirit Void sect, she would likely never see Yu Yuan again in her life. When she thought of the consequences, she immediately panicked and said, "No way. I only want to ask a few questions." Daoist Chiyu spoke again, his brows slightly furrowed, clearly unhappy. My teacher Uncle Tan is also looking for him. I've already been delayed, so I can't keep teacher Uncle Tan waiting. Lu Ying spouted nonsense, not caring if Daoist Chiyu believed her or not. Chapter 665. Senior Uncle Tan? Tan Chun Shan? As Taoist Chiyu spoke, he had already stepped out of the thunder chariot. Judging from his posture, he had planned to take Yu Yuan away without waiting for Lu Ying's agreement. However, when Lu Ying said that Senior Uncle Tan was looking for Yu Yuan, he suddenly stopped in midair between the meteor fall star eyes and the thunder chariot. Lu Ying nodded quickly. Yes, it's Senior Uncle Tan. Tan Chun Shan has returned from outer space? As he asked this, Taoist Chiyu stared into Lu Ying's eyes, as if he wanted to see the truth. He's back. Senior Uncle Tan wants me to take Yu Yuan out of the Crimson Fire Desert to see him. Lu Ying answered without hesitation. He wants to find Yu Yuan and ask about the star behemoth in the starry Ash Sea. A finger-sized necklace made of jade on Taoist Chiyu's neck suddenly shone with a soft light. Wisps of soul will flowed within the jade necklace, forming a miraculous miniature spiritual formation. Lu Ying's mind was in a trance. Suddenly, she felt that a memory branded in her earthly soul was recalled by her and became unusually clear. That memory was the scene of Tan Chun Shan suddenly arriving and talking to her not long ago. Tan Chun Shan has actually returned. Taoist Chiyu of the Spirit Void sect took a deep breath and was puzzled. Since he fell into the meteor fall star eyes not long ago, why didn't you ask him about it at that time? Lu Ying suddenly woke up and instantly understood that Taoist Chiyu, one of the 7 Taoists, had used the jade necklace to steal the memory branded in her earthly soul. Senior, you pry into my memory without saying a word? Lu Ying was furious. Is this how the Spirit Void sect treats its juniors? If I had said a word and you were on guard, how would I know if what you said was true or false? Taoist Chiyu snorted and ignored Lu Ying's dissatisfaction. He suddenly stared at Yu Yuan and said, "Why are you still alive?" When he said this, the guests from the various sects on the chariot, as well as Zhao Yafu, Zhan Tianxiang, and the others from the Goblin Temple below, were all confused. They did not understand why Immortal Chiyu, who was from the Lingshu sect and had the strength of the Yang spirit realm, would target Yu Yuan. Yu Yuan and Lu Ying were both clear on the meaning behind his word. It should be that Yu Yuan, who was the target of Taoist Master Shadowleaf, was still alive. Taoist Master Shadowleaf was at the late stage of the soul-traversing realm, but he had the precedent of assassinating a sun god and killing a level 8 great demon. Taoist Master Shadowleaf, who had received instructions, quietly sneaked into the Crimson Fire Desert. As long as Yu Yuan dared to show himself, wouldn't he die without a doubt? Why didn't Yu Yuan die? Instead, Taoist Master Shadowleaf, who the sect placed high hopes on and who was respectfully called the 8th Taoist Master, was killed for no reason. Senior, what are you talking about? Yu Yuan's face was filled with astonishment. A little guy who doesn't have the backing of a sect and only has a little relationship with the Goblin Temple. I'll take him first. Taoist Master Chiyu narrowed his eyes, pulled off a green jade pendant hanging from his waist, and threw it at Yu Yuan. The green jade pendant turned into an iron thorn-like cage in midair, covering Yu Yuan's head. As for Tan Chun Shan, the next time I see him, I will give him an explanation. This 7th Taoist master of the Lingshu sect, after Lu Ying mentioned Tan Chun Shan, and after he verified it, he still did not let it go. The Lingshu sect was very likely to be ranked as a superior sect. Now, it was the leader of the 7 inferior sects, and there were many experts in the sect. It was also because of this, facing Lu Ying and Tan Chun Shan, who had already returned from outer space, he was still fearless. Yu Yuan came here from the wasteland at the behest of my master. Zhan Tianxiang, who was underground, saw that Yu Yuan was targeted by the Lingshu sect, and could not help but shout angrily. He is an honored guest of my Goblin Temple. If you want to deal with him, my master will definitely hold you accountable. You little kid, you still don't know the rules of Howren's heaven and earth. Taoist Master Chiyu shook his head, unmoved. Below the yang spirit realm, even if it is you, I will kill you. At worst, in the future, let my disciple be more careful, lest he be killed by your master. As for him, the corners of Taoist Master Chiyu's mouth were full of disdain. He is a little itinerant cultivator from Anua City without the backing of any sect. After I kill him, I want to see who will avenge him. The thorns at the bottom of the cage suddenly opened up like a gaping mouth, trying to swallow Yu Yuan whole. Clearly knowing that facing a Yang spirit realm cultivator of the Lingshu sect, with his current strength, nothing could change the outcome. Yu Yuan still summoned the evil demon cauldron and held the scabbard in his palm. He planned to do all he could to struggle. The evil demon cauldron. That scabbard. Above the Thunder sect's thunder chariot, the eyes of more than a dozen people from different sects lit up. A few of them were rubbing their fists, clearly paying attention to the object in his hand. They suddenly felt that spiritual master Chiyu of the Spirit Void sect was simply making an excuse when he said he wanted to talk to Yu Yuan. Could it be that Taoist Master Chiyu knew through Chu Jing's message that the evil demon cauldron and the scabbard had been returned to their original owners, so he specially came from afar to pick the fruit? As he said, Yu Yuan, who did not have the support of a sect, had great treasures. If he captured him alive, or even killed him, would there really be someone willing to stand up for him? It was just the legendary Yutu, right? If Yutu broke through to the 8th level, he would be a strong local overlord in the wasteland. But Taoist Master Chiyu was also in the Yang spirit realm. He killed Yu Yuan and seized the evil demon cauldron and the scabbard. As long as he did not enter the wasteland, he did not fear Yutu in the other parts of Howren. Would the Goblin Temple really choose to fight to the death with the Lingshu sect at this time because of a kid who did not enter the temple? Taoist Master Chiyu is so calculative. More than a dozen great cultivators who had rushed in from all over to solve the predicament of the Red Fire Desert secretly thumped their chests and stamped their feet. They felt that the Lingshu sect had acted quickly and ruthlessly. No wonder the Lingshu sect could rise from a low-level sect to the top of the 7 major sects in a few hundred years. Wait! Tan Chun Shan's soft voice that was like a spring breeze suddenly sounded. A bright crescent moon, formed from pure moonlight, hung between the cage and Yu Yuan's head and gently bumped against it. Bang! The cage of thorns was hit by the crescent moon and turned back into a green jade pendant. The pocket-sized crescent moon was formed from the essence of thousands of moonlight. It released a clear light that faintly covered Taoist Master Chiyu's green jade pendant with moonlight. Taoist Master Chiyu's face turned cold. When he wanted to collect the jade pendant, he found that it was no longer under his control. Tan Chun Shan did not appear, but used the pure energy form of the crescent moon to block Taoist Master Chiyu's attack. His leisurely voice slowly came from the crescent moon. Lu Ying, use the meteor star eyes and bring Yu Yuan to see me. I want to see who dares to stop you from leaving the Red Fire Desert. The crescent moon was high in the sky, and the cold moonlight that spilled out locked onto Taoist Master Chiyu through the green jade pendant. Tan Chun Shan, as the owner of the Thunder Chariot, Hu Jiao from the Lightning Element sect exclaimed when he heard Tan Chun Shan's voice coming from the crescent moon. A few of them were also shocked when they heard that this eccentric from the Star Luna sect, who was rarely seen and spent most of his time roaming the Starry River. Tan Chun Shan was the junior martial brother of the even more mysterious Moon sect's master. All of the Moon sect's external affairs were handled by Tan Chun Shan. Whether it was inside the Howren domain or outside the Starry River, Tan Chun Shan represented the Moon sect. This eccentric from the Star Luna sect's Moon sect had been criticized by many. He was actually a carefree person, but unfortunately, he had run into the even more mysterious Moon sect's master, who had been in secluded cultivation for almost 10,000 years. He had been forced to take care of some of the Moon sect's affairs and select disciples who were suitable to practice the Moon sect's incantations. In recent years, he had stopped meddling in the affairs of the Moon sect in the Howran domain, and instead spent most of his time roaming the Starry River. He didn't kill heavenly devils or participate in the battles against the outsiders in the Starry River, so as to accumulate battle credits for himself and the Star Luna sect. He had been traveling among the outsiders in the Starry River. No one knew what Tan Chun Shan was busy with in the Starry River, but every once in a while, a piece of shocking news would come from the depths of the Starry River. Tan Chun Shan had broken through into the Freedom Realm in the Starry River. Tan Chun Shan had broken through into the middle stage of the Freedom Realm. Tan Chun Shan was already at the late stage of the Freedom Realm. In only 200 years, this eccentric from the Moon sect had advanced from the late Sun God realm to the late stage of the Freedom Realm, which was even higher than Lu Ying's master's cultivation base. A large part of the reason why the Star Luna sect had always been ranked second among the 7 great sects was because of him. This was because it was said that even Tan Junshan's senior sister, the most mysterious master of the Moon clan, did not have a higher cultivation level than him and was not as strong as him. Knowing that Tan Chun Shan had returned was one thing, and hearing Tan Chun Shan's voice was another. Crack! Just being enveloped by the light of the crescent moon caused cracks to appear on the emerald jade pendant that Taoist Chiyu had pulled off. Taoist Chiyu of the Spirit Void sect had said nothing since the crescent moon had appeared and Tan Chun Shan's voice had sounded from it. Chapter 666. Thank you, Martial Uncle Tan. Lu Ying's eyes were smiling like crescent moons. With a thought, the falling star eye made from a meteorite flew away from this world. In the blink of an eye, it was dozens of miles away. Taoist Chiyu, haha, what big words! Tan Junshan's mocking voice sounded out from the crescent moon, unhurriedly. The empty spirit sect is really strong. I have been in outer space for many years, but I have never seen the few Taoists of the Spirit Void sect participate in many large-scale bloody wars. The Spirit Void sect is admirable for preserving their strength, but isn't it a little lacking in courage? The Spirit Void sect can be ranked first among the 7 great sects because they know how to choose. You have escaped from every battle with heavy casualties. The battles you chose are not painful at all. Just like that, you think you are so great in Howran heaven and earth. Tisk tsk. Not long ago, Tan Chun Shan appeared in the meteorite eyes and spoke politely and gently to Yu Yuan. Now, he was mocking the Spirit Void sect. Taoist Chiyu's face was ashen, but he didn't say anything, because he felt that if he dared to refute, he might not die, but he would definitely be seriously injured. That Tan Chun Shan was waiting for him to be flustered and exasperated and say something he shouldn't say, so as to teach him an unforgettable lesson. Several hours later, the meteorite eyes were far away from that troublesome place, stopping at the edge of the Crimson Fire Desert. From the top of the meteor eyes, one could already see the outline of the majestic city that stood between the heavens and the earth. That was Qingluan City. At this moment, as long as Lu Ying wanted to, she could drive the meteorite eyes away from the Crimson Fire Desert and towards Qingluan City. Yu Yuan's original plan was completely stopped because of the appearance of the Thunder Chariot and Taoist Chiyu's evil intentions. He originally wanted to inform Zhao Yafu, Zhan Tianxiang, Ho Tianzhao and Lin Yu, and persuade them to leave early to avoid dying in the Crimson Fire Desert. But now, he knew that if he stayed in the Crimson Fire Desert, he would definitely be targeted by Taoist Master Chiyu. Helpless, he chose to listen to Lu Ying's suggestion, withdraw first. What's your Martial Uncle Tan's cultivation level? Turning around, Yu Yuan turned his head and calmly looked at the Scarlet Fire Desert under the scorching sun. Taoist Chiyu and those newly arrived soul-traversing realm experts seemed to be quite afraid of him. Freedom Realm. When Lu Ying said this, her small face was filled with pride. The late stage of the Freedom Realm. There has always been a saying in the outside world that he is the strongest in our stellar lunisect. He rarely returns to Hauran. This time, he made a special trip because he was alarmed by the Chaos Kuan. After a moment's hesitation, Lu Ying added, "It seems that he was the one responsible for keeping an eye on the giant star beast that rushed out of Hauran." Hearing this, Yu Yuan was slightly shocked. Wasn't he at the late stage of the Freedom Realm on par with Zuan? Tan Junshan had quietly returned from outer space. Was it really because of the Chaos Kuan's attack on him? Or was it because he sensed that something was wrong with the Scarlet Fire Desert? Zuan had betrayed Hauran and let the Rock people in. Had the three great sects, the Devil's Palace, and the Goblin Temple learned of this? It was even possible that Tan Junshan had guessed that Zuan was hiding in the depths of the underground and was the initiator of the great disturbance in the Crimson Fire Desert. That was why he showed up here. "Where's your martial Uncle Tan? Are we really going to meet him?" Yu Yuan asked again. "No, Martial Uncle Tan left a message in my mind lake. He told us to go to Blue Phoenix City to avoid trouble." Lu Ying narrowed her eyes and stared at the towering giant city in the distance. She said, "Through my meteor eyes, I saw many experts of various sects entering the Scarlet Fire Desert one after another." Yu Yuan's expression flickered with astonishment. "Many? Yes, it's not just this area. People from the Heavenly Evil sect, the Crimson Demon sect, the three great sects, and the lower sects are all pouring into the Crimson Fire Desert through different channels. Some openly, some secretly." Lu Ying's slender eyebrows furrowed. "That man's actions in the depths of the Scarlet Fire Desert will trigger a fierce battle." Yu Yuan's expression flickered as he asked, "A bloody battle between the native cultivators of Hauran and the outsider races?" "I think so." Lu Ying looked worried. "The forbidden land of the fallen moons is like this. The great lake of the desolate god isn't peaceful either. Other places like the rosy cloud miasma sea don't seem to be peaceful either. Martial Uncle Tan is probably right. This is a great crisis for this world. If we lose, the power structure of this world may change." Whoosh! Whoosh! As she spoke, sword-shaped boats carrying sword cultivators from the sword sect also flew towards the Scarlet Fire Desert. The powerful sword cultivators standing on the sword-shaped boats emanated unbelievably sharp sword intent that seemed to distort space itself. Why didn't Chen Qinyan show up in the Scarlet Fire Desert this time? Yu Yuan muttered. "What's your relationship with her?" Lu Ying curled her lips. "I heard from others that there's something going on between you and her. You seem to have a deep connection." "No, we're not very close." Yu Yuan gave her a wry smile and said, "We've only met twice in the Jade Peak mountain range and the Great Lake of the Desolate God. Her master ordered her to cultivate in the sword sect for a year," Lu Ying said after hearing Nye Tian's explanation. "You won't be able to see her for the time being. She didn't listen to her sect's instructions and didn't leave in time. She almost made a big mistake." With these words, Lu Ying gave him a hard stare. "What are you doing?" Yu Yuan was baffled. "I heard that you entered the sword prison because of her." Lu Ying snorted. Yu Yuan was stunned. Suddenly, he realized that not long ago, because he was afraid that Zuan would kill Lu Ying, he had acted intimately with her. After that, the relationship between the two of them had broken through and become ambiguous. That was because after that incident, Lu Ying had looked at him with a hint of affection. It was like Jining Shuang from 300 years ago looking at him from her previous life. "With or without her, I have to go to that sword prison." Yu Yuan sighed. "Someone in the Goblin Temple was ordered by the old president of the Tongtian Trading Company to beg me to go to the Great Lake of the Desolate God because he knew that the scabbard was with me. Since I went in, how could I escape that calamity?" He thought for a while and felt that he shouldn't stay in the Scarlet Fire Desert for too long. "Let's go to Qingluan City." Lu Ying didn't want to get to the bottom of it. She controlled the falling star eyes, and went back to Qingluan City. On the way, she sincerely suggested that Yu Yuan should choose a powerful sect and formally enter it to cultivate. For example, the Sword Sect or the Red Devil School. She thought that if Yu Yuan could be recommended by the Sword Sect and be accepted as a personal disciple by a great sword immortal like Jining Shuang, he would have an extra layer of protection in Haoran in the future. Fan Heqing of the Sword Sect was an excellent candidate in Lu Ying's opinion. If he didn't like the Sword Sect, he could go to the Red Devil School. The Red Devil School, which was at its peak, was not weaker than the Spirit Void Sect. It was also on par with the Devil's Palace and the Goblin Temple. If Yu Yuan, who was favored by the Red Devil School, became an official disciple, it would be much more convenient for him to do things in the future. However, Yu Yuan shook her head at all of her suggestions. Deep in his heart, Yu Yuan already felt that he was a member of the Shun Hun sect from the moment he got the white paper fan and started to cultivate the extreme intelligent soul-forging art. He even thought that he could be recognized by the sword spirit of the moon-severing great cultivator because he cultivated the soul arts of the Shun Hun sect. In the Stardust Sea region, he was truly recognized by the spirit of the fiendish demon cauldron because of this. Since he had secretly become a member of the Shunhun sect from the beginning, he naturally couldn't switch to the Sword sect or the Red Devil School. Chaos had already appeared in this world. In the future, it was unknown whether the three high sects, the Devil's Palace, and the Goblin Temple could firmly maintain this world. And since he cultivated the secret arts of the Shunhun sect, he was already a member of the Shunhun sect. In the future, he would have the opportunity to meet his fellow disciples who had gone to outer space. Protect yourself first. Don't expose yourself so easily and die early. Yu Yuan made up his mind. Young master. And Ziqing's sweet laughter suddenly came out of nowhere. Yu Yuan was taken aback. Lowering his head, he saw a purple-robed young lady standing on the empty ground beneath him. She was all alone, but she was standing gracefully and beckoning to him. With a closer look, Yu Yuan discovered that the place Ziqing was in was the same place where Chen Longji had driven his golden chariot deep into the earth. It couldn't be more coincidental. Chapter 667. And Ziqing wasn't wearing the purple divine armor. Instead, she stood on the ground with her head held high, gazing into the meteor star eyes. Under the sunlight, her exposed skin shone with a crystalline luster. As the current goddess of the sect of the Blood God, Lu Ying didn't sense her movement through the falling star eyes until she greeted her. This caused Lu Ying to feel a strong sense of vigilance. Boom! The silver meteorite that was floating in the air suddenly lit up. The star arrays inside it started to operate under the guidance of Lu Ying's mind. The divine light at the bottom of the meteor star eyes lit up in Ziqing like a torch. Under the divine light, Ziqing's soul floated above her head, as if it could leave her body and fly thousands of kilometers away at any moment. The star arrays in the meteor star eyes vaguely reflected the changes in Ziqing's sea of awareness. "How dare you!" A furious roar echoed out from 5 kilometers away. It was Han Ling from the Blood God. Upon hearing his roar, Yu Yuan suddenly remembered that when he had been invited by Ziqing to the Blood God Island with Yuan Lianyao on the Split Yen Islands, the Origin Blood Grand spell formation on the island had changed, and the blood wells on the island had spewed out intense flesh auras. Han Ling had wanted to kill him on the Blood God, but Ziqing had stopped him. Then, Ziqing had led him to the heart of the Blood God Island, where she had tempted him to jump in with the extremely rich blood essence in the blood pools and wells. At that time, Ziqing seemed to have seen that there was a life altar in his flesh aura world. This divine daughter of the Blood God had sincerely said that she wanted him to take the opportunity to enter the profound shattering stage. Since he had instinctively sensed that something was wrong, He had struggled to resist the life altar's thirst for blood and the blood wells and fled the blood god island in a hurry. Over the next few days, he still had lingering fears. Every time he thought of that scene, he felt that if he had been careless and jumped into the blood pools, he wouldn't be the Yu Yuan of today. Soul Wander Realm. Luing sucked in a breath of cold air. Under the illumination of the meteor fall star eyes, and Ziqing's soul moved abnormally, revealing her true cultivation realm. Even this genius of the Star Luna sect felt dispirited. She only knew about Ziqing because of Yu Yuan. Later on, she paid special attention and found out about Ziqing's identity. The current goddess of the blood god, the future leader. Their ages were about the same. She had yet to ascend to the Yin spirit realm, but Ziqing had already broken through to the Soul Wander realm not long ago. Ziqing's extraordinary realm made Lu Ying feel pressure for the first time. She wondered if she had wasted her talent. Even Chen Qinyan, who was publicly acknowledged to be more talented than her, was at the same age as her in the sword sect. He had only just started to condense his Yin spirit. Why couldn't Ziqing step into the soul-traversing realm? Soul Wander realm. Yu Yuan was also startled by Ziqing's soft exclamation. He stared at Ziqing and secretly used the supernatural ability of the extreme wisdom soul-tempering art. Using the wisdom eye, he could see that Ziqing's sea of consciousness and Yin spirit were extraordinarily refined. It seemed that she could really come and go freely in the inner world of the vast sea of consciousness without fear of the strong wind, fierce fire, or extreme cold. A Yin spirit that could move freely in the Howran realm was the Soul Wander realm. After parting at the Blood God Island, this goddess of the Blood God had broken through the bottleneck and reached the Soul Wander realm. In the entire history of the Howran realm, there were only a handful of Soul Wander realm cultivators at such a young age. Don't be too surprised. Ziqing smiled sweetly and waved her hand, indicating for the meteor fall star eyes to descend so that everyone could talk closer. Lu Ying thought that since her martial uncle Tan Chun Shan was near the Crimson Fire Desert, the meteor fall star eyes would notify him immediately if anything happened to her. Unless the current leader of the Blood God came in person, no one could kill her under Tan Chun Shan's nose. With Tan Junshan as her backing, she was able to send a telepathic message to the artifact's soul, causing the meteor fall star eyes to descend. Our Blood God's cultivation speed is unique in the entire Howran realm. You should know that cultivating this kind of unique blood secret art will lead to a lot of trouble in the future. Ziqing said generously to the two, also, if you cultivate an extremely rare spirit art, the chances of you reaching the nascent soul realm are slim. Lu Ying felt a little better after hearing her words. She said, yes. It's been a long time since we parted at the Blood God Island. Yu Yuan grinned. He was now very wary of this servant girl who used to be by his side. He was afraid that he would be tricked by this girl again. If something went wrong, he would fall into the evil path and become a bloodthirsty demon, enslaved by the sect of the divine blood. This time, I received Lin Yu's message to go to the Crimson Fire Desert to help. Ziqing's expression was calm. You heard it. I brought others with me. I saw the meteor fall star eyes and saw that you were among them, so I wanted to say hello. Just to say hello. Yu Yuan narrowed his eyes. Ziqing's eyes seemed to never be able to see through Yu Yuan's middle dantian from time to time. It seemed that she was still curious about the secrets of Yu Yuan's blood and chi world. Amen, just to say hello. Young master, I'd like to invite you again. I hope you will consider our blood god. She had a sincere expression. I believe that our blood god's spirit incantations and secret arts are the most effective for improving your cultivation. When she said the last sentence, her gaze was focused on Yu Yuan's mysteries. At this moment, Yu Yuan was 100% sure that this divine daughter of the blood god knew about the existence of the life altar forged from the giant beast essence amber. For now, I won't consider joining any sect. Yu Yuan refused. You don't know how to appreciate favors. In the distance, Han Ling of the blood god sect said coldly, the goddess of my sect has invited you again and again, and you dare to reject her again and again. You really don't want face. Shut up. And Ziqing scolded. Han Ling shut his mouth resentfully in the distance. May I ask what realm that person is at? Yu Yuan suddenly asked. Late soul traversing realm, and Ziqing answered. Is he the strongest person in your group? Yu Yuan asked again. And Ziqing thought for a moment and said, his realm is indeed the highest. What about it? Let me give you a word of advice. Your blood god's strength is probably not enough to deal with the Crimson Fire Desert. The corner of Yu Yuan's mouth curled up slightly. When you enter and find Lin Yu and your disciples, you should leave as soon as possible. Don't stay for too long. And Ziqing's expression changed slightly. Young master, what do you know? I don't know anything. Yu Yuan grinned. Since you gave me a mustard seed bracelet and a jade token in the starry Ash Sea region, I'll give you a word of advice. As for whether you listen or not, I don't care. Lu Ying, let's return to Azure Luan City. Lu Ying, who had been impatient since a long time ago, immediately flew towards Azure Luan City on Meteor Star Eyes. Young master, wait a moment. He turned a deaf ear to Ziqing's calls from below, pretending that he didn't hear anything. After the Meteor Star Eyes flew away for a while, a wisp of golden light suddenly appeared in the depths of the earth. The golden light was the golden carriage. Chen Longji of the Chen family revealed his head with a smile and clasped his hands towards Ziqing. Missen, our Chen family and the blood god have cooperated for many years, and both sides are satisfied. Here, let me give you a word of advice. You'd better not set foot in the Crimson Fire Desert at this time. Whoosh! Han Ling of the blood god flew over like a streak of bloody light and came to a steady stop. Young master said so, and you also said so, and Ziqing murmured with a serious expression. She looked at Chen Longji and said, what happened at the Crimson Fire Desert? Is the situation there very bad? Tell that Lin Yu of the sect to come out with his people as soon as possible. Chen Longji didn't answer her question. Instead, he added, while you can still communicate with that kid named Lin Yu through the secret method of your sect, you'd better send him a message. If you delay any longer, you won't be able to send even a wisp of a message. Upon hearing these words, Han Ling, who had hurried over, suddenly paled. He could ignore Yu Yuan's warning because Yu Yuan's cultivation base was low, and he didn't have a powerful background. However, he had dealt with Chen Longji of the Chen family before him, and knew the weight of his words. Miss, Han Ling said anxiously. Always listen to others, Chen Longji said again. And Ziqing took a deep breath and looked in the direction of the Crimson Fire Desert with an incomparably complicated gaze. She nodded and said, I know. I'll send a message to Lin Yu and tell him to come out with his people as soon as possible. Elder Han, go to the edge of the Crimson Fire Desert and meet up with Lin Yu and the others. I'm going to Azure Luan City to find young master. Chapter 668. Night fell. The temperature of the Crimson Fire Desert during the day suddenly dropped after nightfall. Hundreds of tall sand dunes in different areas of the desert suddenly shot out gray smoke. The gray smoke rose into the sky from the depths of the earth and spread rapidly. If he still had his meteor eyes, he would be able to see that the entire Crimson Fire Desert was being engulfed by the gray smoke at an astonishing speed. Within the thick gray smoke, all the sect disciples, including the elders who had come to support them, lost their soul remembrance perception. People who were in it felt as if their souls were lost, and they found it hard to focus. Many people would be distracted when they were talking or fighting, and couldn't focus on what was in front of them. However, the heavenly devils and foreign races in the outer realms weren't affected. In fact, they became even more violent, as if they were strengthened by the gray smoke. Since the local great demons didn't focus on refining their souls, they weren't affected by the gray smoke. Only human cultivators who had reached the subtle realm with their soul awareness could immediately detect the danger of the gray smoke. The higher their cultivation, the more they could feel it. The dark fire dust mist in the depths of the grayfields in the heavenly river outside. Heavens! Why would the dark fire dust mist appear in Hauran? It's the dark fire dust mist. Some of the people who were traveling in the Crimson Fire Desert with extraordinary cultivation were scared out of their wits when they heard their seniors talk about the mist and remembered its mysteriousness and terror. Kong Banbai, Chu Jing, Qi Jinghai, Ho Tianzhao, and other leaders heard that the dark fire dust mist was spreading in the Crimson Fire Desert. They couldn't care less about exorcism anymore. They immediately led the remaining members of their sect out of the Crimson Fire Desert as quickly as possible. Outside the desert, and Zicheng of the Blood God sent a wisp of soul awareness to Lin Yu after giving Han Ling instructions. She immediately noticed the abnormality in the Crimson Fire Desert. The dark fire dust mist, she and Han Ling exclaimed almost at the same time. Chen Longji's expression didn't change. He only clasped his fists at An Zicheng and said, "Azure Phoenix City and the Chen family welcome you at any time." After saying those words, the member of the Chen clan smiled faintly before withdrawing into the ground. A bloody light sprayed out from An Zicheng's sleeves, isolating the world. Could the change in the Crimson Fire Desert be related to the Azure Luan Empire's Chen clan? An Zicheng was puzzled and couldn't help but ask with a frown. "Forget about the Chen family for now. I have to go and help Lin Yu," said Han Ling anxiously. "Remember, even if it's you, don't enter the Crimson Fire Desert again," An Zicheng warned. "Of course I know." Han Ling, the irascible old man of the Blood God, panicked when he discovered that the dark elemental dust mist had appeared in the Crimson Fire Desert. "I wonder how many people will die in the Crimson Fire Desert this time. I only hope that the people of our divine sect can come out safely. At the very least, Lin Yu has to stay alive." Lin Yu was his senior brother Han Ling's personal disciple. He had promised his senior brother that he would take good care of Lin Yu. When the falling star eyes neared Qingluan City, it shrank and descended. The guards in the city obviously knew about the world-famous falling star eyes, and of course knew who its owner was. Therefore, they let it pass. Yu Yuan, who had once again stepped into Qingluan City with Lu Ying, didn't go to the Azure Sky Divine Palace to cultivate. Instead, he went to the Minor Thunder Sky sect to find Xie Bin, who had started cultivating again after condensing his heavenly soul. Lu Ying accompanied him. On the way, he changed his appearance again and became that Chen Shi. Not long after, the Little Thunder Sky sect Dao Hall, which used to be deserted, became lively and noisy. The crippled old man called Huang Chuan stood lazily in front of the door, blocking the many cultivators who had come after hearing the news. "Little brother Chen Shi." When he saw Yu Yuan and Lu Ying walking over together, his eyes lit up. He pushed aside the people around him and squeezed his way out of the crowd, waving at them repeatedly. Yu Yuan's body shook and he suddenly stopped. His gaze stopped on a familiar figure. Among the dozen or so young people who had come, there was a handsome young man with a lonely expression. He stood to the side and looked hopefully at the plaque of the Minor Thunder Sky sect. It was obvious that he wanted to enter and cultivate the Tao arts of the Minor Thunder Sky sect. But his personality and the arrogance in his bones didn't allow him to recommend himself like the people around him. He seemed out of place there, as if he was waiting. Someone in the Minor Thunder Sky sect had sharp eyes and could see that he wasn't ordinary, so they took the initiative to invite him in. He was Li Yu. Old man Xie said that no matter when, as long as you come, I have to bring you in immediately. Huang Chuan limped over, his face red, as if he was afraid that Yu Yuan didn't know. Old man Xie's heavenly soul has been reunited. No matter how I asked him, he wouldn't tell me the reason. Huang Chuan was so excited that his entire body trembled. Qin Shi, do you know what the reunion of Old Man Xie's heavenly soul means to our Minor Thunder Sky sect? Yu Yuan nodded. I know. His gaze was still fixed on Li Yu. There were too many questions in his heart. Why had Li Yu appeared here? That Qi Jinghai, didn't he ask us for the Ice Thunder Seal? Dream on. Huang Chuan grinned. I heard that Old Man Xie was the most famous cultivation genius of the Tianyuan continent in his early years. He even made great contributions in the outer realms of the Starry River. Now that his heavenly soul has been reunited, he has returned to the soul-traversing realm. He has already seen the glory of the Sun Spirit, so it will be easy for him to refine it again. Perhaps Old Man Xie can even advance to the Freedom Realm. Qi Jinghai, if he dares to come again, we will teach him a lesson. Huang Chuan was in high spirits, but Yu Yuan only looked at Li Yu, deep in thought. At the edge of the crowd, Li Yu suddenly felt something and looked back strangely. Seeing an unfamiliar man staring at him, Li Yu showed displeasure and snorted coldly. What are you snorting about? Huang Chuan was angry. He pointed at Li Yu and said to Yu Yuan, that kid is at the shattering profound realm and has a good aptitude. He said his name is Li Yu and that he comes from the Demon Moon Empire. I heard that he is a clansman of the Silver Moon Queen. You should know that the Silver Moon Queen and her clansmen are not recognized by the current sections. Huang Chuan chattered on, telling Yu Yuan that Li Yu's aptitude was enough to enter the Minor Thunder Firmament sect, but because of his identity, he did not accept. He also said that before Li Yu came to the Minor Thunder Firmament sect, he wandered around the nearby sects and was rejected after revealing his identity. No sect was willing to recruit someone with an unclean background. Let him come with me. I will take him to see Old Man Xie, Yu Yuan said softly. Him? Huang Chuan was surprised. Whether you want him or not depends on Old Man Xie. I will introduce him, Yu Yuan said with a smile. Oh, okay. I will give you face. Huang Chuan raised his voice and said to Li Yu, you'll go in with us. I don't know if Old Man Xie will accept you, but I will give you a chance. Li Yu, who was in the crowd, was slightly excited by Huang Chuan's words. He had heard that the Minor Thunder Firmament sect used to be a lesser sect, and that they had the same incantations and Taoist incantations as the current Thunder Firmament sect. However, because of a fierce battle in the Starry River, they had been reduced to their current state. Not long ago, he had heard that Xie Bin, who had been in charge of this sect, had been a Yang God expert. However, he had been seriously injured in the battle in the Starry River, and had been sent here after his cultivation had dropped. At that time, Li Yu had been tempted. After a while, he had heard that Xie Bin had reunited with his heavenly soul and wreaked havoc in the frigid insect's Taoist arena, where he had taken a little girl from Zhaojingji. Li Yu, who had no way to seek the Tao, had come here with the intention of giving it a try. However, Huang Chuan seemed to know his background. From the beginning to the end, he had not shown any interest in him. This made Li Yu feel sad. He had planned to stay for a while longer before leaving. He had not expected that things would turn for the better. Chapter 669. In Xie Bin's private room in the courtyard house. Puzzled, Li Yu followed Yu Yuan and Lu Ying into the room. Then, he saw Yu Yuan take out silk banners and arrange them in a specific formation. Xie Bin smiled but didn't say anything. A moment later, a formation that blocked out soul thoughts and sound was formed, and a misty spiritual light was released from each silk banner. Greetings, Senior Xie. Luing smiled and bowed to Xiebin. I've heard my master talk about you many times. He said that you were a famous cultivation genius in the Tianyuan continent 300 years ago. He also said that after you entered the Sun God stage, you became extremely famous in the outer realms. Before they came, Yu Yuan had said that he wanted to meet Xiebin. Luing asked carefully and confirmed that Xiebin, who was hiding in this alley in Qingluan City, was the famous cultivation genius of the Thunder Heaven sect. She was also surprised to learn that Xiebin had reunited his soul and stepped on the path of cultivation again. If you don't release your meteorite eyes, many people won't recognize you. If they know who you are, I'm afraid they will be even more excited. Xiebin smiled and then looked at her carefully. He sighed and said, Your cultivation talent is 1 in 10,000. If you were more diligent, you would have condensed a Yin spirit long ago. After staying here for a long time, Xiebin had developed the habit of looking at young people's innate talent first. In his eyes, Luing was like a piece of jade. Her entire body was shining with a misty light. The 3 souls of heaven, earth, and man in her Niwen acupoint were pure and clean. If such a person could condense a Yin spirit and soul power, it would be much less troublesome to cleanse her soul in the future. Her future cultivation path would be smooth. Luing nodded obediently. I'm already working hard in secret. Liu, long time no see. Yu Yuan suddenly took off the mask on his face. As he returned to his original appearance, his voice changed. Liu was shocked and screamed, Yu Yuan. He had thought that Yu Yuan, who was with Luing, was a disciple of the Star Luna sect, and wondered why a disciple of the Star Luna sect kept staring at him. At this moment, when Yu Yuan tore off his mask and revealed his true appearance, he understood everything. He also knew that it was because Yu Yuan had pleaded with Huang Chuan that he was able to step into the courtyard of the Minor Thunder Firmament sect dojo and see Xiebin, who had once again embarked on the path of cultivation. Why are you in Green Phoenix City? Yu Yuan asked. Liu quickly calmed down and said, Auntie arranged for me to come to Green Phoenix City. She said she found a cultivation sect for me. She let me come first, and she stayed in the desolate God Great Swamp to take care of some matters. You should know what happened after that because you were a witness. Yu Yuan's expression changed as he recalled how Chen Liangquan had taken away the Silver Moon Queen's Yin spirit on Lake Heart Island. He had also heard that the Silver Moon Queen's true body had broken out of her imprisonment. He realized that Liu Chan must have learned of the cooperation between the Silver Moon Queen and Chen Liangquan after reaching an agreement with Tan Yuan. Liu had been arranged to come to Green Phoenix City first. Liu Chan had probably wanted to find a place for Liu through Chen Liangquan of the Chen family. Unfortunately, Liu Chan had been captured by the old patriarch of the dragon race, Long Jie. Later, Long Jie and his daughter, Long Yang, had been trapped by Jining Shuang of the Sword sect. Back then, he had been busy escaping and had not had the time to investigate what had happened after that. Where is General Li now? Yu Yuan probed. I heard that like that old dragon, he has been temporarily imprisoned by the Sword sect. Liu lowered his head slightly, his expression dim. His voice was pained. I know that I probably won't be able to wait for her to come to Green Phoenix City, so I can only think of a way myself. With his words, Yu Yuan knew that without Liu Chan's appearance, Liu, an unimportant member of the Li family, would not have been noticed by the Chen family. What do you think of the Minor Thunder Firmament sect? Yu Yuan asked. Liu took a deep breath, clearly overwhelmed by emotions. He said in a low voice, very good. Without entering a major sect to cultivate, without anything to rely on, he could forget about reaching the subtle realm or the Yin spirit realm. Then, he would not be able to achieve his lofty ambitions. Yu Yuan nodded. Soon after, she looked at Xiebin and said, This brother of mine is in a bad situation because of his family's misfortune. Senior Xie, Can you give me face and take him to the Thunder Firmament sect to cultivate? Xiebin was stunned for a moment. His background? He was originally from the Silver Moon Empire, a member of the Li family. Yu Yuan spoke the truth. I see. Xiebin hesitated for a moment, then said with a smile, If not for you, Yu Yuan, I would not have agreed. A member of the Li family will more or less be a little troublesome. I need to deal with them. Thank you. Yu Yuan clasped his hands. There's no need to be so formal between us. Xiebin shook his head, then looked at Li Yu. Lightning gathered in the depths of his eyes, turning into 2 lightning pools. Brat of the Li family, if you nod your head and are willing to enter my minor Thunder Firmament sect, you will have to sever your past. From today onwards, you will have nothing to do with the Li family. You will only listen to the orders of my minor Thunder Firmament sect. In his eyes, Li Yu had fewer dregs in his bones, so he must have put in a lot of effort to reach the breaking profound realm. He focused his gaze and knew that Li Yu's talent was slightly inferior to Lu Ying's. But compared to the disciples in the 4-part courtyard, Li Yu was much better. If it wasn't for Li Yu's special identity, he could easily enter a lower sect with his talent. After looking at Li Yu for a while longer, Xiebin nodded his head and said, Once you take this step, you will no longer be a disciple of the Li family, but a disciple of the sect. Think about it before you reply to me. Li Yu didn't hesitate. He, who had been searching for a sect but couldn't find one, immediately nodded his head. I've already thought about it. I'm willing to enter the Minor Thunder Firmament sect. From today onwards, I, Li Yu, am a disciple of the Minor Thunder Firmament sect. I have nothing to do with the Silver Moon Empire or the Li family. Good. I will take care of your past conflict. Xiebin looked deeply at him. After you enter the Minor Thunder Firmament sect, you will cultivate with me. Li Yu stilled and then knelt down. Master. In the next few days, Yu Yuan didn't choose to go to Blue Sky Divine Palace. Instead, he stayed in the Minor Thunder Firmament sect and learned about what had happened in the Crimson Fire Desert through Xiebin. Very soon, he heard that the so-called Dark Scorpion Dust Mist had suddenly erupted from the bottom of the Crimson Fire Desert and enveloped the entire desert. As a result, the great cultivators in the outside world were unable to communicate with the people inside using their soul thoughts and unique artifacts. Xiebin had roamed the outer realms and told him how terrifying the Dark Scorpion Dust Mist was and how it restricted human cultivators. There was a branch of the Tongtian Trading Company in Azure Phoenix City. Xiebin, who had stepped on the path of cultivation again, often went to the branch of the trading company. After his heavenly soul reformed, he immediately became a soul wander realm cultivator again. Right now, he was preparing to refine his son's spirit again. Therefore, he went to the branch of the trading company in advance to buy suitable spirit materials. The branch of the trading company was well informed. He obtained a lot of information from there and shared it with Yu Yuan. Yu Yuan also wanted to know what kind of situation the Crimson Fire Desert would develop into. Because he had confidence in Blue Luan City, he wasn't in a hurry to return to the Forgotten Land. He chose to use Qin Shi's identity to stay in this Minor Thunder Firmament sect's Dao Dojo. Lu Ying knew that he was staying here. She stayed for 2 days and then went to the Dao Arena set up by the Star Moon sect in Azure Phoenix City. Before she left, Yu Yuan told her not to inform the Star Moon sect of the abnormalities he saw through the meteor fall star eyes to avoid being targeted by the Zhu, and Lu Ying obediently listened to him. Yu Yuan cultivated secretly in the Minor Thunder Firmament sect's Dao Arena with spirit stones and pills. He used his soul sense to examine the inside of the imperceptible realm and visualized. Late at night, Yu Yuan, who was still immersed in his cultivation, suddenly shuddered. A smear of bloody light quietly appeared in front of him and condensed into the blood-soaked figure of Enziching. Enziching couldn't even stand properly. Her purple divine armor shattered, and she fell down with wounds all over her body. She cried out, "Young master, save me!" Author's note: I caught a cold. Today's chapter: I'm sorry, I beg for forgiveness. Chapter 670. And Zicheng was lying in a pool of blood. The divine daughter of the blood god, a member of the An clan, only had time to cry out, "Young master, save me!" before she fainted. The crimson blood that flowed out of her shattered purple divine armor was viscous and fragrant. After she fell, the viscous blood wrapped around her seemingly delicate body, as if it had a mind of its own. A misty blood-colored light was released by the viscous, fragrant blood, which vaguely enveloped her, preventing her from being invaded while she was unconscious. The divine armor was made of an unknown material. After it cracked, it shattered into pieces of purple crystals the size of fingertip. If one looked closely at each of the purple crystals, they would be able to see a drop of dark purple blood within them. The entire set of purple divine armor seemed to be made of hundreds of different kinds of metal mixed with those drops of sparkling, translucent purple blood, and refined by a powerful equipment forger. And Zicheng's wrists and slender neck were covered in extremely fine bloody wounds. However, as soon as she fell to the ground and the viscous blood released a misty blood-colored light that enveloped her, Yu Yuan was surprised to find that the fine wounds on her body had already healed without him noticing. Because of the viscous blood, the blood god's secret magic, and the purple divine armor, her physical wounds were rapidly healed. What had caused her to pass out was actually the fact that her soul had been severely damaged. At this moment, a drop of blood the size of a thumb was covering the Niwen acupoint between her eyebrows. That drop of blood wasn't purple, but scarlet, and exuded an extremely powerful aura. Inside the huge drop of blood, a soul shadow could be seen. The soul shadow should be in Zicheng's nether soul. After being severely injured, it was temporarily enveloped by the drop of scarlet blood, and didn't immediately enter her Niwen acupoint or enter her sea of awareness to merge with her earthly soul and true soul. Instead, it was the nether soul hidden in the drop of scarlet blood that was trembling slightly, as if it couldn't withstand a gust of wind. It was as if once the nether soul left the drop of scarlet blood, it would lose the protection of the drop of blood and collapse. And Zicheng, who had just entered the soul-traversing realm, hurried to the Crimson Fire Desert before her cultivation stabilized. It was unknown what kind of opponent she had encountered along the way. With the battle prowess of the Soul Wander realm, with the protection of that purple divine armor, and with someone like Han Ling by her side, she had still been severely injured. Yet, this lass had managed to find the Minor Thunder Firmament sect and him through sheer willpower when she was on the brink of death. How did she find him? Looking at Zicheng, who was lying on the ground, Yu Yuan was filled with questions one after another. Lu Ying. After a while, Yu Yuan guessed wrongly. Even though he had changed his appearance and came here under the alias of Chen Shi, because he had Lu Ying by his side, and Zicheng, who had parted with him outside the city, had used the power of the blood god. With the Chen family's strength, they should have locked onto him through Lu Ying's tracks in Green Phoenix City. But why did Zicheng insist on looking for him when she was so heavily injured? Rubbing his chin, Yu Yuan was slightly melancholy. Back on Blood God Island, this lass clearly wanted to use the blood pools and blood wells to bewitch him and lure him in. At that time, Zicheng definitely didn't have good intentions. The reason why he had a good impression of the blood god was because he had obtained the spirit consciousness left behind by Yu Ying in the underground of the Yu family. He knew that the Yu family was the descendant of evil King Yu Jian. And evil King Yu Jian's best friend back then was the sect master of the blood god. The blood god also had experts helping to set up the underground space of the Yu family. This meant that the sect master of the blood god naturally knew that the Yu family of Dark Moon City was the descendant of his good friend. That was why he took care of them. And Ziqing was arranged to come to the Yu family under the guise of his maid. It was probably Anwen's orders. Perhaps Ziqing herself didn't know about the secret relationship between the An family and the Yu family. That was why she had plotted against him back on Blood God Island. Chen Shi Xiebin's soft call suddenly came from outside the courtyard. And Ziqing hid her aura and quietly entered his room. She could fool others, but Xiebin, who had condensed his cauldron again, quickly sensed the abnormality. He was worried that something had happened to him, so he came to take a look. "Don't worry, Elder Xie. A friend suddenly came to visit," Yu Yuan replied in a soft voice. "It's good that you're fine." Xiebin lowered his voice again and condensed his voice into a line. "I'll be meditating in my room. If you need anything, just call me softly. I'll be able to hear it." "Amen, I know," Yu Yuan said. Xiebin didn't say anything else. He quietly disappeared into the depths of the night, without a sound. But Yu Yuan knew that this once famous figure of the Minor Thunder Sky sect was hiding in the dark, waiting for him to call and immediately come to help. Xiebin, who had returned to the Soul Wander realm with the Ice and Thunder Seal, wasn't someone that ordinary people could fight against. Because he knew what the Sun God realm was like, and because he had fought against Sun God realm experts and even stronger experts from other realms, Xiebin's true strength far exceeded his current realm after being amplified by the Ice and Thunder Seal. This was also why Xiebin wasn't in a hurry to return to the Minor Thunder Sky sect of the Tianyuan continent, and was waiting for Qi Jinghai of the Thunder sect to come. Yu Yuan focused his gaze and stared at the huge drop of blood between Ziqing's eyebrows. After taking a closer look, he noticed that there were tiny threads of crimson lightning inside the drop of blood. The extremely tiny crimson lightning was the same color as the blood, so it was easy to mistake it for a part of the blood. The reason why Yu Yuan had noticed that something was wrong was because the tiny crimson lightning bolts had actually made a small advance in his blood. The crimson lightning slowly approached the center of the drop of blood. And Ziqing's Yin soul was at the center. After observing for a while longer, Yu Yuan was finally certain that the tiny threads of crimson lightning contained the aura of killing soul spirits. They should have been left by the person who had attacked Ziqing and injured her so severely. Based on this, he concluded that Ziqing's nether deity must have sensed danger, and thus wanted to withdraw into her meridians. Along the way, she realized that the crimson lightning bolts were moving too fast, and she was afraid that the lightning bolts would follow her nether deity into her small world in her sea of awareness, which would lead to the death of her earth soul and true soul. Therefore, she took out that drop of blood, which gave her nether deity a temporary shelter. The scarlet lightning followed her Yin spirit and seeped into the scarlet blood. Inside the drop of blood, the lightning bolts were still inching closer and closer to her Yin divinity. When the crimson lightning bolts reached the center of the drop of blood, they shot towards her Yin divinity. Her Yin soul would most likely be reduced to ashes. After killing her Yin soul, the crimson lightning might be able to rush out of the drop of blood and enter her sea of consciousness again to kill her earthly soul and true soul. She came to me and asked me to help her? Yu Yuan's eyebrows sank as he couldn't help but rub his hands. Looking at the drop of blood between Ziqing's eyebrows, he also felt a headache coming on. To save her or not was a problem, but how to save her was another problem. Sighing inwardly, he communicated with the soul of the baleful demon cauldron and asked it for help. After hearing about the situation and learning the details, the baleful demon cauldron's soul gave him a suggestion that seemed feasible. Then, he summoned the life altar from his flesh aura world and used its wonders to refine the drop of blood between Ziqing's eyebrows. As the drop of blood melted, it would be enveloped by the baleful demon cauldron. As the drop of blood melted, the crimson lightning that had seeped into it would be exposed. Within the baleful demon cauldron, the power of the cauldron or the sharp sword light in the scabbard would be able to destroy the crimson lightning. Only in this way could Enziching's own soul be able to escape from the drop of blood. But if he really did that, he couldn't do it in the minor thunder sky sex Tao arena. The formation formed by the banners could only block out soul thoughts and sound. If the baleful demon cauldron and the life altar were released, the commotion would be shocking. The minor thunder sky sex Tao arena couldn't hide everything. It would be targeted by many people. The people chasing after Enziching would most likely follow the vine to find the melon. Apart from killing Enziching, Yu Yuan would also be affected, and even Xie Bin would be affected. To be able to force Enziching into such a state and dare to kill the goddess of the blood god, they would definitely be extremely powerful. Even the current Xie Bin might not be a match for them. Furthermore, he didn't know how many people they would have. I understand. If I want to save Enziching, I have to secretly move her to the Azure Sky Divine Palace. In this city, only the Azure Sky Divine Palace is safe, and I can do whatever I want. Yu Yuan quickly came up with an idea. He also knew that the Azure Sky Divine Palace was connected to the entire Azure Luan city and the inner city underground. As long as he could find a cultivation room in the Azure Sky Divine Palace, he would be able to do whatever he wanted without worrying about being disturbed. I'll have Xie Bin make the arrangements. After making up his mind, he no longer hesitated and called out softly in his room, "Elder Xie?" "I'm here," Xie Bin immediately replied. "Come here for a moment. I have something to ask of you," Yu Yuan called out softly. As soon as he said this, Xie Bin's figure entered his room like a ghost. Standing among the banners, he glanced at Enziching and said softly, "Someone from the blood god?" "The goddess of the current generation, Enziching," Yu Yuan said. Xie Bin's expression changed slightly. Lightning flashed in his eyes as he stared at the scarlet blood between Enziching's eyebrows. After a few more glances, he saw traces of scarlet lightning hidden inside. As if he recognized the lightning, Xie Bin's body shook slightly and he cried out. Chapter 671. Soul-Blazing Lightning. Xie Bin exclaimed with astonishment as he stared at the crimson lightning bolts in the drop of blood. As a cultivation genius of the minor thunder firmament sect, he was one of the most eye-catching experts who were well-versed in thunder incantations. His expression flickered as he recognized the origin of the crimson lightning bolt. Soul-blazing lightning? Yu Yuan's face was filled with confusion. He racked his brains, but couldn't recall anything about it in his memories. Whether it was in his previous life or this life, he couldn't recall anything about it. Very few people know about it. You don't practice thunder incantations, so of course you don't know about it. Xie Bin took a deep breath and said with a grim expression, "Yu Yuan, logically speaking, the people who did this to her shouldn't be in Howren." "What do you mean?" Yu Yuan asked curiously. There was a group of people who were originally from the Lightning Element sect, but later abandoned the Lightning Element sect and established their own sect in the Starry River. Xie Bin's emotions fluctuated greatly as he continued. Those people practice the Lightning Element sect's secret incantations and combine them with a strange pool of lightning they found in the Starry River to form lightning bolts like this. Pointing at the drop of blood, Xie Bin said, "These lightning bolts are called soul-blazing lightning, and they're crimson in color. The lightning bolts that the Grand Thunder Firmament sect and our Minor Thunder Firmament sect could condense were either cyan or sparkling white. Crimson lightning rarely appeared. The crimson lightning bolts called soul-blazing lightning are even more sinister and domineering, and extremely vicious. That group of people who practiced this incantation in the Starry River weren't acknowledged by Howren since long ago. Whether it's the Lightning Element sect, our Minor Thunder Firmament sect, or the three great sects, as long as they saw them, they would hunt them down and kill them. They shouldn't have set foot in Howren in the first place." With these words, Yu Yuan noticed that the tiny crimson lightning bolts were once again moving towards the drop of blood. And Ziqing's nether soul flickered in the center of the drop of blood, as if it could smell the destructive aura of soul-blazing lightning, as if it could go out at any moment. All of a sudden, her breathing became heavy. Yu Yuan's keen senses told him that she seemed to be trying her best to wake up, but at the same time she seemed to have fallen into a terrifying nightmare. She was struggling with all her might, but she just couldn't wake up. Her own spirit was forced into such a state by the blazing soul-leeching lightning. Her heavenly soul and primary soul should also be severely injured. Looking at her condition, if the problem of the own spirit is not solved, it will be difficult for her to wake up completely. Xiebin looked carefully for a while and said, "Shall we go to the Qing Tianshan Hall?" "That's exactly what I was thinking," Yu Yuan shouted. "This girl actually managed to find this place and find you." Xiebin muttered, "She probably knew that my heavenly soul was condensed again, and that the frost and thunder seal was in my hands. That's why she came here." "What?" Yu Yuan was stunned. "Didn't she come here because she knew that the frost thunder seal in my hand could neutralize her blazing soul flaming lightning?" Xiebin's face was full of pride as he said in a matter-of-fact manner, "Everyone in the depths of the Starry River knows that our minor Thunder Sky sect guarding treasure can suppress the blazing soul flaming lightning. Last time, Qi Jinghai came here on behalf of his master to invite me to join the Thunder Sky sect and help me condense my heavenly soul. Wasn't it because of the Frost Thunder Seal?" The three high sects agreed because they all know that the Frost Thunder Seal in my hand has great restraining power against the blazing soul flaming lightning. "I guess that group of cultivators from the Thunder Sky sect put pressure on the three high sects," Xiebin said. Yu Yuan was surprised. He didn't expect that there was such a reason. It turned out that the Frost Thunder Seal in Xiebin's hand happened to be able to suppress the so-called blazing soul flaming lightning. After hearing Xiebin's words, he suddenly felt that Ziqing might have come here because she knew that the Frost Thunder Seal was in Xiebin's hands. "I don't know the origin of that drop of blood. It will be a bit troublesome to dissolve it," Xiebin said. "No matter who that drop of blood belongs to, no matter what the situation is, I can solve it." Since Yu Yuan possessed the life altar, he felt that the drop of blood contained abundant flesh power, which gave him confidence. "If you can take care of those crimson lightning bolts, we'll be able to save her." "What's your relationship with her?" Xiebin asked curiously. "Didn't you ask about me? Don't you know that she was my personal servant girl for many years in the Yu family of Dark Moon City?" Yu Yuan said with a smile. "I'm asking about your true relationship." Xiebin glared at him. "If we hadn't saved this girl, she would have died without a doubt. I heard later that you don't have any relationship with the blood god. In fact, you even have some disputes. She is the divine daughter of the blood god. If you save her, you might cause other trouble. Let's talk about it after she comes back to life," Yu Yuan yelled. He was thinking about the secret relationship between the Yu family and the In family of the blood god. He guessed that the secret buried under the Yu family might have something to do with the In family. He decided to save Ziqing's life for the sake of the blood god, the current sect master. "There's no time to lose. Let's go now." Xiebin did as he said. With a wave of his sleeve, thousands of sparkling white threads of ice and thunder suddenly flew out of the ice thunder seal and wove into a blanket in front of Yu Yuan. With a thought, he wrapped Ziqing, who had fainted on the ground with a blanket made of ice thunder silk. What was strange was that the bloody light protecting Ziqing and the sticky blood didn't seem to have sensed any danger, and didn't show any changes. She can instinctively sense if there's danger. The blood protecting her secretly contains her soul. Xiebin saw this and twisted the blanket around Ziqing with a thick and long thread of ice and thunder in his hand. "Follow me. If someone ambushes us on the way, I'll make a big commotion. The Chun family clansmen will be alerted and come to support us. In his opinion, the person who attacked Enziching was someone who had betrayed Howren. If he dared to show his face in Azure Phoenix City, he would be killed by all the experts in the city. Okay. Yu Yuan nodded. Xiebin rose from the ground. He didn't leave through the main gate. Instead, he left the courtyard and flew towards the Azure Sky Divine Palace like a bolt of lightning. He must have deliberately slowed down his speed, which was why Yu Yuan was able to follow him from afar. The streets were quiet in the middle of the night. There were no city guards patrolling. Their journey was unbelievably smooth. They didn't encounter anyone. Yu Yuan, who was following behind Xiebin, was surprised. He didn't think that Azure Phoenix City would be so quiet at night. There wasn't even the sound of chickens, dogs, insects, or flies. Something's wrong. Suddenly, a wisp of soul thought came from the fiendish demon cauldron hidden in his Zigong meridian. We should have reached the Azure Sky Divine Palace a long time ago. At this time, Xiebin, who was dragging the blanket with a thick and long thread of ice and thunder, suddenly stopped. He looked at the Azure Sky Divine Palace that was standing not far away. Yu Yuan also stopped and looked up at the Azure Sky Divine Palace. He felt that the palace was illusory and unreal. In the next moment, the cauldron's soul gave a strong warning. Not good. You've probably fallen into someone else's little world. Xiebin slowly put down the blanket around Enziching. He shook the ice and thunder seal out of his sleeve and said, "I'll break the illusion in front of us first." You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.